I don't even know what's going to be on the screen. Okay, hang on. Let's go over to the trades. Okay. I'm going to bring in... I'm going to introduce them now, all right? All right, guys. Welcome to episode 4 of 2K CrossFire. Today with me is Demon JT, Versa, and Larry will be with us in a little bit as well. But today we're going to be talking about some topics. We're going to be covering the trade that happened today, as well as the trade from the other day. We're going to do contenders versus pretenders. We're going to talk about the impact of 3v3 for the NBA 2K League, and we'll do some, we'll kind of just talk about some other things as well. But what's up, chat? What's up, Alvarez? What's up, D. Joe Vegas? And what's up, Hezzy Cap? Again, I'm hearing a lot. There's a lot of stuff going around that there is another trade actively going on, but I am not 100% on that, nor am I going to leak that information that I don't know and do know. Like, I'm just gonna let it be, because I am tired of doing that. JT Versa, you guys here? Well, obviously you guys saw the trade today. But before we talk about that trade, I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on the other trade. I think it was last week or something, or a couple days ago when it happened, but whenever it happened. So I first want to start out with JT. JT, I kind of want to get your thoughts on this trade. Like, what was your overall thoughts on on this trade that happened during like last week or whenever it did happen? Yeah, the 630 for retrade. Oh, okay. Thank you, Joe. Let's see what I know why, because I had the wrong thing in here. Okay, they should be able to hear you now. My bad.
All right. Yeah, I told him, Joe. So basically, yeah, I was cool with it like before the tourney, of course. But once they went to the tip-off finals and Reed figured it out, and they figured out how to kind of use each other and how to feed off each other, it didn't make the most sense to me. But at the same time, when you have a chance to get a former rookie of the year slash MVP, I guess you insta smash it. And I would assume he didn't make that call without asking his point guard and asking his team. So, like, I don't know if they agreed, didn't agree, whatever, but I would assume they kind of okayed it because they were a strong team that just went to the finals. They just lost to probably the best team in the league, especially when it comes to being on stage. So, like, I wasn't with it, but now I'm kind of like, I know how it is to be in a bad situation as a player and to be unhappy. And I'm happy that he got out of that. If that's what it was. If he wasn't happy, I'm happy he got out of it. I feel like Reed will flourish with Vandy as well. So I'm cool with it. I wasn't cool with it at first, but I'm cool with it now. Like, I kind of over time, it kind of like it grew on me over time.
Yeah, I feel it. Versa, what about you? What do you think about this trade? 630 for Reed trade.
Kind of similar to JT. I definitely feel like I feel like more so the 76ers trade was for kind of like going forward, but I do understand the trust factor. And what I mean by trust factor is like, I feel like genuinely, and it's no knock to Reed or anything like that. I just feel like, and JT will understand what I say. So like when you play in the league and like you have a certain notoriety as a player, like people respect your game differently just off of the names that they see sitting across from them. So like the way that people may have came into the game and strategized to guard Dre, they're not going to be as willing to do that if they see 630 on the hash. You get what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
Realistically, people could argue numbers and stuff like that. That all comes with situation. Not only was this a situation to where like Jeff probably felt like he was building a better backcourt, but he has flexibility going forward to see like what the next seasons will be like. I feel like they're definitely in win now mode with the addition of 630 because we all saw what he did last year, and I feel like he could definitely complement Dre's game. Just being able to score in short facets of the game, short limited time, and he's one of the better guard defenders in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, like JT said, though, I didn't see it coming after what Reed did on stage, but I do get where like complacency would arrive to where like you don't want to just be complacent if that offer is out there and you could get it at that price, knowing what 630 is capable of. And it's not like they're night and day. It's just that for the team, it just seems like it's a better fit.
So, can I ask, with obviously Cody Parent is one of the few GMs who could say that they've traded some of the best players in the league. Like, we're talking about two players that are, I would say, at superstar level. I mean, Ramo, I think that in the early years compared to now, I mean, like, in the early, I'm not saying Ramo, like, is not still a great player, but the point is, like, Ramo, at that point in time when they traded him, he was kind of like at the top of the food chain, like the top center in the league, I guess you could argue. And literally, Cody Parent was able to trade for him and then traded him away again. He gets 630 on his team, and now he's trading another star away. Is there something wrong in Indy, or is it just like I'm still trying to figure this one out, because it's like the biggest thing was Cody finding a PG. He finally finds a PG, and now he wants out. What do GMs have to do to hold on to some of these star players? Because we saw the same thing happen with Kai with Gen G, where again, I know rumors were that 630 didn't originally want to go to the Pacers, but they took him anyway. Same thing happened with Kai with Gen G. Like, how can GMs make their destination more appealing for players wanting to stay? And is it just winning? Like, is that all it is, or is it more than that? I want to start with JT because I know obviously you played on a couple teams. So, what are your thoughts?
To be honest, it comes down to winning. Like, I could say it comes down to other things, but I don't give a damn how cool you are with who you load up with. If y'all getting smacked, if y'all losing, if y'all are losing a good amount, none of it matters. So it's like you can't do nothing to want to keep. First off, most of these dudes aren't even of like young adult mature age. So it's like, a lot of dudes in the league are 18, 19, 20, 21 type thing. So it's just like, in a sense, it's like you can't bend over backwards to make a dude want to stay. You have to kind of like just have a foundation that makes it to where every player is level. That's the one thing it comes down to. Like, you can have your stars, but your star can't be just doing what the fuck he wants. Your star has to still be held accountable like everybody else. So in a sense, I don't even think it came down to a point to where 630 didn't like those dudes. I just feel like, in a sense, he feel like after all he did last season, he did all of that and got damn near nothing from it. It wasn't no money reward for his MVP for his rookie of the year. He didn't really go nowhere in the offs. Like, they didn't go far in tourneys like that. Like, he just wants to win. And in a sense, that's what it comes down to. If you're not winning, the league is not what it's cracked up to be. Especially with it being a 6-month contract. If you just loading up and you making that cool little 34 to 35K, whatever it is, and that's just what you're doing and nothing else, like, it's not really what it's cracked up to be, on top of the mental toll it takes of being with dudes who are hard to play with, hard to team up with. Like, so it's like you can't look at it as, I need to do this to keep my players around. Humans will do what humans want to do. They won't. You can't fix that. So if somebody don't want to be there, like 630, like Ramo, prime example. Ramo wants to win, and Cody liked to keep players that didn't play the game. Ramo likes players who are hungry and players who play the game. Pacers kept one player for 4 seasons that doesn't touch the damn game. So when he comes in the market, he has to learn the game all over again. He's already behind. That's annoying, because I'm a professional like you. I'm retained like you. Why am I doing my job, but you're not doing yours? So it's more so not really like bending or changing ways to make stars want to stay. It's just building a foundation, and at some point you'll have players who will buy in if it's a good foundation.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree. What about you, Versa?
I feel the same way as JT. At some point, and like from the outside looking in, people may paint that type of perspective to where like when people speak, like for example, the examples that JT made, people would make it seem as if like, oh no, you're just saying that because like, oh, like whatever, like you're not involved or that's just your opinion, blah 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 blah. But like when you look at track record and you see like it's a consistent thing, it's not becoming, if that makes sense. So that's why you have people that ask those tough questions, like even Benzo. Like Benzo questions the credibility of certain orgs. Like, what is their priority? Is the priority winning? Is it content? Is it? Are you just trying to be involved? Or are you just like buying your time within the league to collect a paycheck? Are you satisfied with the bare minimum? What are your expectations? What are you trying to achieve here with your organization? So, like, with that being said, it's like I feel like a lot of this is a lot of things will be out of your control because essentially you won't know certain players that you bring in or like certain staff that you bring in ultimately until they're there. But that comes with investment. For example, like you can get to know people to a certain extent or like understand like the idea of how you want to shape your organization. So like to answer to JT's point, when you have someone there for such a long time, and I understand like business is business, cool, but you have people that are trying to achieve something or have certain things that they're trying to get done at home or certain responsibilities. So yeah, they want to maximize their time because I mean, if we're being quite honest, like nothing is guaranteed in this league. If
Mm-hmm.
I'll use Dayfry as an example. Dayfry was like thrown to the dirt, like that whole Mavs situation, and as much as people may not agree, if you've been around long enough, if you know, if he didn't win a chip, like in that space of time when he went to the Wizards, it would be bad. Like he would probably be out the league just off of how people painted him to be a type of person.
Mm-hmm.
But that stems from like overall like who you're around in the organization that puts you in that situation. So we just have to be wary about or be more aware about like situations like overall because at the end of the day like yeah you ultimately can't just flat out control which team you go to,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to understand the principles of that team and what they stand for. And I feel like, and I'm not trying to sound bad, but coaches or GMs, they definitely have to understand GM or coach to player relationship or what culture that they're portraying out there in the league over spans of time because that will like make people not want to be involved with your organization. Like the things that you prioritize or the way that you come off with things or the way that you handle situations because people know, people figure it out. People talk about this stuff behind closed doors. So it will make it not appeasing. And then eventually you run into situations like this where you do end up trading elite talent. And then, you're looked at as in like, okay, either you can't handle elite talent or these players are just quote unquote toxic players. And we gotta stop that whole thing to where like if something doesn't work out, that player is
Mm-hmm.
automatically assumed to be toxic or they're not willing to be on board because nine times out of 10, I'm not gonna say nine times out of 10, it may be a possibility that they don't even know what to be on board about because that organization isn't setting the standard.
Mm-hmm. Larry. Now I know you just got into the call. Can you hear us, Larry?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So right now we're talking about the first trade that happened with 630 and Reed the other day.
Uh-huh.
I kind of want to get your thoughts on this trade. Like, what were your initial thoughts? What are your thoughts now that we've been a couple days later on? Because JT kind of touched on how he feel. He likes he doesn't like have the same feelings that he initially had on the trade as he does now. I kind of want to get your thoughts on the trade when you initially heard about this one, and also just like what are your thoughts on it? And like also with the Pacers, obviously this is the second time they've traded a star. Is there something that the Pacers need to change to basically retain stars for their organization? Like those are the two questions that I have for you for now.
Um, I mean, my initial thoughts, I was definitely surprised. Um, because obviously we found out right after the tournament, and they obviously made a run into the finals. Um, I mean, I think Reed. I think Reed is where he belongs now, obviously on the shooting guard position. Like, I felt like he was like, like we have those tiers of like special type of shooting guards in the league, like the people we praise, like the Smooths and those guys. And I feel like when Reed has his reps at the two and he's like locked in at that position, he's right there. Like he can be like a 1A, 1B type of player at that position. He's really good at the two. And I feel like he's a player that he's got to be comfortable. And I think with him, this situation change is probably in the long run, it'll benefit him, but it's unfortunate because, again, JT and myself, we've been on, the shorthand of league experiences, so to speak. And sometimes you don't get what you want in the league, and it doesn't mean you're a bad player. It doesn't mean anything like that. Maybe, I don't know, if Jeff probably, I seen him, I think, tweet something or something to stream about, like, sometimes there's opportunities to, like, get talent and you have to jump on it. Don't get me wrong. Obviously, 630, he went crazy last year. MVP, Rookie of the Year, like, for sure. We get that. But I think the trigger was pulled a little too quickly. I don't know if it's like a panic mode thing or what. But, I mean, for the Pacers, I'm sure there's more behind the scenes that we don't know as far as, like, why 630 wanted to be gone. I mean, I'm sure it probably has something to do with Vandy not playing the best and maybe other things going on there that I personally don't know of. But I think my biggest thing in the trade was them getting the first. I think getting the first is huge, like going forward. Especially that pick being Kingsguard. Kingsguard is pretty bad. I don't expect Kingsguard to make the playoffs. So that first could be really essential for the Pacers going forward, especially in replacing a guy like 630. So that was really my initial take on the whole trade.
Mm-hmm. So one thing I do have to mention, because you did talk about Vandy. So if you guys don't know, and I'm going to read off the original trade that they did to bring in Vandy. So what they basically did was the Pacers gave up the 19th pick this year, and they traded their future first for next year to the Magic as well. So basically, they traded 2 firsts away to bring in Vandy, and it did not go. It's definitely so far the trade's been pretty bad for the Pacers. But again, they traded their first round pick for next year away. In return, they basically traded 630 away and lost their first for next year, but got back the Kings pick, which can potentially be a good pick, obviously. But at the same time, if the Pacers continue to be bad, it's like again that trade just kind of hurts more and more. From what I heard, 630 wasn't really. I don't think he approved of the Vandy trade. I don't think he would have ever initially have approved of it. And one thing that I've had conversations with some people who've played with the Pacers, and there has been a lack of communication between front office decisions and players. And I'm not saying players should be in the decisions for everything. Like it definitely should be like by a word by the front office, but sometimes some decisions I think that it would have been important to run by this trade by 630 because I'm sure that he definitely would have rather had somebody different versus Vandy compared to anybody in the league. And that even the trade that they gave to get Vandy was a little too much, in my opinion, for him. It's like they paid the highest amount to bring him in, and then they sold their best player for the cheapest amount. So again, yeah, the Pacers are kind of built in a way just building to a different direction because obviously I don't think they had much of a choice. But I want to ask you, Larry, because I know that you have experience with this. So 630 requests a trade, and it's something that some people might look at, as like a bad thing. Some people might look at it as a good thing. What are your thoughts on players in this league? Kind of just requesting trades and ask and all that stuff. What are your thoughts on that?
It's tough, man, because when you come into the league, the first thing that you're preached to, and again, JT can reassure everyone of that, is just like the level of professionalism. But from day one, like when the 2K League was announced, everybody was told marketability is the thing. Marketability is the thing. You gotta be the brand. You gotta represent the brand. And by all means, I'm one of the most professional people you're gonna meet, and previous to the 2K League. So it's I get that, but players got to also protect themselves in a different way. So with that being said, we don't know. I just like I'm not in the loop with players. Like I'm not hitting people up and trying to gossip or get info or anything like that as far as like reasons that the trade was demanded. But I get it. Like me personally, I didn't demand a trade. So when like I found out that I was being traded to the Celtics, I was like definitely shocked by it because there's a lot of stuff that we don't see. You know what I mean? Like the stuff like some people are a real deal. Like some people don't go to Twitter after L's and stuff like that. Like I dealt with a lot of stuff in Cleveland that people to this day don't even know about, and I'm cool with that. I can take that to the grave with me. I take that L on the chin. It is what it is, and there might be stuff that 630 probably like you said he might not agree with the Vandy thing. Him being MVP and Rookie of the Year, he might have felt like he deserved to have a little bit more say so in who was brought in this season, and I get that. Like he feels like he earned that. He was the best player in the league last year, Rookie of the Year, MVP. So maybe he felt like he probably should have had that relationship with management to a point of where like he could have a little bit of say so on who his backcourt mate is, whether it's a PG or a shooting guard. He probably felt like he needed a little bit of say so. They completely probably ruled him off.
Yeah.
And it's like, it is what it is. He probably was frustrated with it. And obviously it didn't turn out well. They're not playing well. They're losing. So I don't see like him asking for a trade is tough early in the year, but I'm not fully against it. Like I said, there's probably a lot that we just don't know of. I don't know too much about the situation myself, besides the fact that they're losing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely, again, everything is a situational thing. Everything's different for everybody. And I know that this league, we've had a couple players in the league over the years who have requested trades, and it's worked out great. I mean, you look at Kai. Kai did not want to be on Gen G. He gets traded to a T-Wolves team that's now looking like, I mean, shoot, they just won the, back-to-back tip-offs, obviously. But, like, requesting a trade and putting yourself in the best situation, I will never say there's anything wrong with that. I think that it's something to where, like, players should have the right. I just think there's a certain way to go about it, obviously, and you always have to tread water carefully with it. But I will say the one thing I didn't like about this trade is I felt like this was a bad time to make a trade for a superstar player, and I think this was not a good time to sell your like a player like 630, and it's kind of hard in the regular season because you're not going to get the assets, and being the first trade of the year is always tough because it's kind of, I don't want to say there's a meta to trading, but like after we saw this like again we saw this trade happen, and then we just had a trade that happened today. I think that teams are going to start learning how to orchestrate trades better in their favor. I think that we're still testing out the kinks of this new, like, you only have 5 players on your team. You only have so many things to really trade away. I think that you involving multiple teams in trades makes it to where you can get more out of, like, what you're selling. So, like, I think that I think that the Pacers should have considered to see if, like, they could have, like, involved some way of getting multiple things in a trade. Because I think there's a lot of players on both teams, and I'm talking about Sixers and Pacers, that definitely could have been moved to other teams, and it definitely could have, like, in a way, helped the Pacers situate a trade better. But I get it. Sometimes, you just gotta make a move right away. Especially with a season where there's not as many opportunities to make the playoffs. So I do understand it, but at the same time, it's just I felt like this was a little bit of a panic trade by the Pacers, in my opinion. But I do want to ask you guys. So on the board right now, I don't know. I'll share a screen with you guys in the Discord so you guys can see. But I have a little board up right now. It is called the winner, 50-50, or loser of the trade. Now, I know it's early and no one ever really truly, it's like, oh, I don't know. It's kind of early. But if you guys were to give me an early estimation of this trade, do you guys think which team do you guys think is the winner of this trade and which team's the loser? Or do you think it's just a very even trade? I want to start with JT on this. You were going to speak on that? Were we going to speak on JT?
Oh no, I was gonna speak on the Kai thing. Like Kai was really like, I make it short. Kai really had like, he didn't want to go there at first, in a sense, like before the draft even started, because but it's like I talked to him like right after he got drafted, and he kind of like changed his mind on it, and they just had a boo boo team. And once they had a boo-boo team, when you have a boo-boo team, it's hard to even have one bright spot. And Lynn had one bright spot in Kai, so he used him and traded him. And, he got better as time went on with getting a better team. But it wasn't even Kai, like, wanting out. It's just he had a boo-boo team. He had to change something up because he didn't draft well. He drafted terribly. So I'm not going to even say – I won't go as far as to say Kai got snaked. I don't know that much into it, but it's more so just in a sense to where the team was shit. So with the team being shit, a lot of people like to just change up. Especially with Lynn, that was his first year, if I'm not mistaken. So He had to change something up. So why not trade your best player and see what goes from there? Now look at him now. He had to make a couple ding dong trades, as we would say. And now, look at him. He has a much better team, but it's all a learning curve that some people learn at a different time. And he got a good team now, but before he was drafting poorly. He wasn't drafting well. His trades didn't really make sense, but now I guess it's a method to his madness.
Oh man, I'm hearing that Kai definitely begged. I definitely believe that more. I think he begged himself off that team. No, but anyway, going to the winner 50-50 or loser of the Sixers and Pacers trade. JT, based on this trade right now, today, who would you say the winner is and who the loser is if you were to kind of project how you think this is going to go of this trade?
I think it's 50-50 simply because 630 wasn't hooping. He wasn't playing well. So it's like most people look at winners and losers based off just pure talent. But you got all the talent in the world that just doesn't really amount. And in a sense, it's like they stuff didn't amount. Like Randy and 630 as a backcourt was egregious. It was awful. Like 630 would get wide open and smoke it most of the time. So it's like Reed kind of gives Vandy that. Vandy played to not make a mistake, in my opinion. Like when he was out there playing with no balls. He wasn't out there with no aggression. He wasn't out there looking like what he can look like. He was out there. He messed up a couple times. Here you go, man. Bring it up type stuff. And I feel like Reed will kind of let him work. He'll kind of figure it out. Now he's having fun. He's smiling. He looks like he's working his way back up. And then with 630, I feel like that's Dre's friend. So now that backcourt can be very dangerous. People always speak on usage rate, but he's done everything from a statistical standpoint. He doesn't have to go to Philly and average 30. Mm-hmm. He just wants to go to Philly and win. So if 630 got 30, I think Dre going to be cool with it. If Dre got 30, I think 630 going to be cool with it. So I think it's 50-50 just from a fit standpoint and from how they fit with that system. So I don't think it's a truly winner or loser. I think they both won because they kind of got what they more so needed.
Okay. So JT thinks it's 50-50 with this trade. Versa, with this trade, is there a winner or loser, or is this another, or do you think this is a 50-50 trade?
I mean, are we talking just strictly this season, or are we just talking about overall?
Overall, we're kind of again, it's kind of like a projection, in a way, predicting who do you kind of looking at it now, but also looking at it big picture in a way. Okay. So, like I said, take it however way you want to look at it, I would say. But in the long run, if I look back on this, let's say I go back to this in a year from now, are we going to be looking at this as an even trade, or is this going to be something to where someone was a clear winner and we just again if 630 goes out there and wins MVP after let's say he got dropped from this team and he goes out there and wins MVP, then there's clearly a loser in this trade. But who do you?
I got you. So
go ahead.
In my opinion, okay. So we have to. In my opinion, I'm gonna just use the collective route. So this trade, you have to factor in everything else as well. So what the Pacers organization gave up for Vandy, and then to turn around to give up 630. And like I said, in my opinion, Reed is a top caliber player, and just as much as Sav is or 630. So the 76ers won this trade strictly because They won in the chemistry margin, and they won in the just flat out talent margin. Because going forward, you never know what type of game you're going to get throughout the continuation of the league. And I feel like 630 could mold itself into each play style based off of whatever the league presents itself. Not saying that Reed can't, but you have him along with Dre, so you have flexibility. And with that being said, I mean, I don't right now like that team potentially got better just off of those intangibles, and the Pacers relatively stayed the same because it's still going to come down to what you get out of Vandy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, he may be playing with less pressure because it's not as if like you have some type of standard you have to meet when you're going to be playing with Reed. Not saying that Reed doesn't demand the ball or he's this type of player, but that type of pressure that he may have been feeling with 630 may put him at ease. But over the course of his career, he's made some good runs, and he usually makes his good runs late. And I just feel like that doesn't appease to this season. Like, there's no such thing as a late run in this season as far as like what we've been seeing and how it's structured. So it doesn't really benefit the Pacers at all. This, in my opinion, I feel like this whole trade benefited the 76ers, and the track record doesn't help the Pacers for the amount of things that they have given up just to acquire Vandy and then to turn around and trade their best player and ultimately not really have like, and it's no not to read, but there was no like, it's no definitive difference maker because at the end of the day, your core is still the same. And I mean, I'm not trying to jump back into previous conversation, but I mean, like JT said, when you have people that step away from the game and don't love the game to a certain extent, it's just like, where's the trust there? And it's just overall like not the best look because Reed just left a poor situation from the Magic. He was on a contending team just now. Maybe it lights a fire under him to produce going into the Indiana Pacers, but you can only do so much. So that's my opinion on that.
Yeah. Larry. Oh wait. By the way, Versa, who did you say 50-50 winner or loser? Which one did you choose?
The winner in the trade is 76ers.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I gotta put that. Larry, who do you think did anyone win this trade or lose this trade, or is it a 50-50 with this trade? What are your thoughts?
I mean, based on like what Verse said as well and what JT says, like they gave up so much to get Vandy. Getting the Kings pick helps in the long run. If you're talking about right now, this season, probably the Sixers are the winner because they're like trying to improve, I guess, as far as like talent and chemistry goes. Getting guys that have a history or a friendship together. So you get 630, and like JT said, I think Dre's relationship with 630 is probably better than it is with Reed. It's not that Reed's a bad player or anything in that nature, but sometimes it's a comfortability level for guys. I've seen guys in the league, play really bad that are good players, and then they get around the right environment, the right group of people, or guys that they're just comfortable with around being themselves, and they play better. So, I mean, right now, like for this is season 5. For season 5, the Sixers are the winner of the trade. But for the long haul, I feel like the Pacers should go rebuild, probably keep Reed and Jomar. Then they got 2 firsts. You know what I mean? So they could also still be good next year if they handle this correctly going into the draft and the offseason. But as of right now, I'd have to say the Sixers probably won the trade.
Okay. I want a one-word answer from each of you with this question I'm going to ask you. Okay. Did the Pacers get better? Larry, I want to start with you. Did the Pacers get better? Yes or no?
Get better?
Yeah, did they get better by getting Reed?
Skill-wise, no. Locker room, probably yes.
Okay. Versa, did the Pacers get better or did they get better adding Reed to this team?
I think they stay the same because the thing is, them getting better is not on Reed. It's going to be on Vandy. That like 630 goes into a situation to where he just has to do his job.
Mm-hmm.
Reed is going into a situation where like he has to help turn them into a better team.
Right.
And he's not at that position to where like he's definitively going to have that impact to make them a definitively better team because there's so many other things that need to be fixed.
Okay. JT, did the Pacers get better with this trade?
Yes.
Okay. So my thoughts on this trade. I think this was a ripoff, personally. I know some people are still like, I know we obviously like some people want, like JT thinks it's 50-50, and I understand where he's coming from with that. Because I know that it's more than just like the eye test. Obviously 630 hasn't been playing good so far this year, but when I look at the big picture of this, I think that this reminds me of a situation where you look at a player who is very talented. The roster obviously around him is not playing well as well. He's not playing well, but sometimes I feel like you can be the best damn player in this league, but if your teammates aren't like on the same like wavelength as you, it doesn't help either. And I think the problem was that there was already this like negative connotation coming in, the fact that they made a move that I don't think he necessarily had any word on. And I think that's where this started. And then once it didn't work out, I think that's where it kind of erupted to where like, all right, you know what, fuck this shit. I like there was. It's not like there was an option like, oh, let's just trade Vandy. No, the only option was to trade 630. So obviously, I think that build up ultimately put them in a bad situation and built a bad mojo in the room because I think the fact that they held on to the 2K League Zombies Wizard for 4 years, there's obviously been some issues internally with this team because having players who don't play the game in the offseason, and again, we got shit going on, we all do, but like when you got players not playing the game and all this stuff, and even in 630, like he didn't obviously lab the game as much as he did the year before that, but he still played, but not like before. But the point is, like, I just think with this trade, the Sixers did it at the right time. It was all about timing. I think that if the Pacers would have waited till the off season and made this trade, it would have made a little more sense to me because they would have got probably a lot more out of assets, and that's why like I think that doing this trade didn't make them better. Getting that, I do like they got that Kings first, but it still stings the fact that how much you gave up to bring in Vandy that ultimately caused this entire problem. I guess in a way you could say. So I will say that the Sixers are a clear winner in this trade, in my opinion. I don't think that the Pacers like just this is the second time the Pacers have lost a star, and it's mostly due to just decisions being made without their star player, and that I think was part of why that was part of like the influence I think on 630 was the fact that he wasn't a part of that decision making process to when they brought in Vandy, and it's not like I don't think him and Vandy have any problems with each other. It's just that like the play styles, everyone questioned it as soon as the trade happened. Everyone was like, "Huh, I wonder how they're gonna work together." But anyway, moving on to the other trade, we're gonna move on to this next trade. Is there any final thoughts you guys have on this trade before we move on to the second trade that happened? Obviously, so far this season.
I just want to piggyback off Larry's comment. He definitely has a great mindset with what he said. Going forward, if things don't pan out, they granted, yeah, they gave up a lot in the Vandy trade, which they kind of made up for it with this trade with the first round pick and stuff. So going forward, if they don't go the route that they should go, they definitely should think about actually like revamping that team. I feel like good cornerstones from that team is definitely Joe Mar and Reed, especially knowing that the guards that's coming into the next draft class and people that may be returning, potentially you could get a point guard and a center out of that, and I mean that would be huge. You could rebuild your team with great role players. Well, not necessarily role players, but you guys get what I understand. But great players at their respectable positions, and then get your point guard or a star point guard, and get a center that you could trust, and go from there, and get rid of those bad habits, and you never know what could happen.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, I guess if we're already like the problem is if we're already thinking that far ahead, it's almost like we're putting this season in a wash, and it's kind of like I feel like that's just a tough thing to do. Like again, I feel like when you're making trades like this like they could have made that trade if the trade was to make the future better and to build for the future, then you would have made this trade in the off season. But you did it during the season to try to better yourself in the season. So that's like where like I understand where you're coming from, Versa. I just think this was bad timing for the trade if that's the thought process, in my opinion. Like I think that I would have waited on this because I think that in the offseason, you would have got a lot more value, and you would have known what you were trading for. We don't know what's going to happen to the Kings. Like, what if what if the Kings turn it around? You know what I mean? Like, what if the Kings?
No, I agree, but it could also go both ways. The assets that you may have been available in the offseason may not have been available at all if you waited too long. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, and plus, we don't know like in-house things that may be going on with that organization. It may be a situation where they had to do this at this moment because this was when it was most beneficial. Because let's be honest, Indy is not like a preferred destination. You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, but that's where every like obviously Indy as you're talking about Indy as like a as
a team.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not a preferred destination. So like if they waited till the off season, other teams. I'm pretty sure once 630 requested out, other teams had offers on the board, and it would only grow stronger from there going into the offseason. So, or it may have weakened based off of them knowing, like, okay, he wants out. He's gonna be out one way or another. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
it could go both ways.
No, obviously there's a lot of like what ifs and all this stuff too, like that we can talk about, But I think that there's a lot of the only time will tell with this trade what truly will happen. But anyway, is there any other final thoughts that we have on this trade before we move on? Alrighty.
No, I'm good.
Alrighty. So we're gonna move on to the other trade, which again, this is kind of what broke headlines today. I still have to break down this trade because I'll be honest with you, because I had to read through it like several times to kind of make sense of it because there was so much going on. This is the first time we've had 4 teams in one trade, like, which is insane. So if you guys don't know, Ant season is now on Knicks Gaming. Duck is on Magic Gaming. Cap is on Wizards District Gaming. Wizards Oh wait, it was 2 separate trades. They just put on one graphic. My bad. Ty is now on Kingsguard Gaming. And it's just, I don't know. There's so much going on in this trade, and the Wizards receive the Kings received the 2023 first round from the Wizards, and they received the Sixers 2023 second round. So again, this
trade is a 4-team trade, champ.
It is. I know. It is.
It's not broken up.
Yeah. I finished reading through it, and now it made more sense that it is a 4-team.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, I was reading through it, and it just looked like Duck for it, on the top part. It looked like Duck for Ant, but then I had to read through it more. But yeah, I mean, this trade is insane. Like, it is all over the place. There is so much going on with this trade. I can't even believe this happened today. Because again, I heard rumors. I heard rumors that Duck was getting traded, and there was a lot coming out with it. But I did not expect all 4 of these teams to switch up their guards like this. 4 guards moving to different teams. I'm going to start with Larry on this, and I'm going to kind of work our way around. Larry, when you saw this trade break Twitter today, what were your thoughts?
I don't know, man. Like, there's a couple of things. Obviously, like, from each team. I think Ty gets to go to a position where, like, there's a little less on his shoulders. Ty's never been a bad 2K player, but he's been, like, a low ego guy, quiet guy. And for the people that, play 2K from a professional or competitive standpoint, point guard is hard, not only because it's like, making reads is the hardest position, but point guard is a lot more mental than anything. And like, sometimes it's a lot to shoulder in the season where like, you're not playing your best, obviously. You got a team with a really good core and defense like the Wizards. So it's like, replacing JBM is big shoes to fill, and Ty's a quiet guy when it comes to like personality and leadership, but he's a hell of a 2K player. So I think he gets to go to an opportunity where a little bit less is required of him. He can kind of like do his thing, play defense. Then he gets to go to the bubble. I'm pretty sure he has family like somewhere in India or something. So I don't think he'll be too disappointed in the long run. Um, for the Knicks, I mean, we've been hearing Duck might get traded for the last 2-3 years. It's only a matter of time, I think, and if they didn't start winning.
Mhm.
So that doesn't surprise me. For him to go to the Magic, definitely like the location surprises me, but it was only a matter of time because we've been hearing the rumors. And season, he gets the opportunity to play the one. I mean, we know he's going to be playing with a ball dominant guard like Malik at the two, but it could work out. And season, he likes to call plays. He likes to like do different things sometimes and get people involved. So it's one of those like high risk, high reward type of situations with Ant season. And Cap to the Wizards was, I think, the biggest part of it because, I mean, we've all seen Cap play. Cap isn't the most skilled when it comes to stick, but he's a leader. He's a floor general. He's vocal. So now you go to like one of the teams that's probably the most vocal in the league. Dayfry don't stop talking. Awkward don't stop talking. These guys have nothing but comms on defense. And then you get the guy who calls a lot of plays and directs the offense with his voice more than his like gameplay itself. So I feel like he might not be the best player stick wise, but in a situation like this, it gives him the opportunity to reach his full potential. And the Wizards losing their first round pick kind of just lets me know that this team is done after the season. So the Wizards, like
Yeah.
we heard that there was the possibility of like Dave Fry leaving the Wizards this past offseason. It didn't happen. If you look at it, the Wizards are losing their first. If they didn't believe in Ty, why get rid of their first? You keep their first. If you have a bad year, you fall into greens or spam or something next year, and then you got Day Fry and Awkward and these guys all over again, and you're a championship contender. So what that lets me know is them not having their first is this offseason they're going to make a move. Them having 2 seconds and a bunch of guys, whether it be Day Fry traded for a first, somewhere closer to home, whether it be Nudini traded for possibly a first because he's a known winner in the league. The Wizards, this is the end of their run right here. They're basically kind of just like bought in on the 3P right here, or it's rebuild after this year. So that's what all this trade really showed me for them.
Damn. So Jack is Kevin Durant. Once he left, the whole super team got broken up. No, I'm trolling, but I mean that is actually a great point, and I'm gonna voice my opinion on this trade real quick. The fact that the Wizards traded basically a first to get Cap, I am very disappointed. Listen, I have nothing against Cap. Okay, I think Cap's a cool guy, but it's been clear that there's already been a lot of question marks around him, and he's not playing terrible, but he's not playing great, and he was a high first round pick. You traded a future first and high to bring in a second round pick and Cap, and I don't know, man. I feel like out of all the PGs that got traded today, that's the PG they got. Like again, I'm not like again. I don't know how Ant and Duck, would have been, but like I would have tried to got somebody else at PG, especially if I'm giving away a future first, and with next year's class. And if the plan is to blow up basically blow up the whole team and trade stuff away, you might want to have more capita in next year's draft for a guard or have multiple firsts so you can trade up to get a guard. Because trading that pick away, now it's like, yeah, you're blowing it up. I mean, it's an early second. No, second round picks are not that valuable to me, to be honest. And I'm not saying, listen, the Wizards picked some great players in late picks. Don't get me wrong, but like when you need a guard, you need that high pick, and unless they trade Dayfry unless their plan is to trade Dayfry for a top pick, I don't know. That just shows you the signs of the future of this team, and that's just bad for the mental for a team, in my opinion. Like knowing that this is the end. You know what I mean? Knowing that okay, after this season, I'm not going to be here anymore. So it's like I don't know. That's kind of tough. But JT, actually, I want to jump to Versa, then I'll go to JT last. Versa, what was your thoughts on this trade? Once it was announced.
Um, Kinda pretty much the same thing. Just seeing the guard swaps, cool. Because I honestly, in my opinion, I feel like nobody won in the guard swaps trade. I feel like in unique situations, players are in a better role, if that makes sense. For example, like Cap is, he has that vocal leadership, which, playing on the Day Fry will only enhance him and make him better. Because everybody on that team talks. Nodini, Day Fry, Awkward doesn't stop talking. Then you have Ty, and he's a flat out. He could score at guard. He's a flat out scorer. I believe he didn't get to showcase that as much because again, PG is more floor general orientated this season. But he's going to show that he can flat out score. So I feel like he's in a better situation. In season wanted to play point guard, so clearly he's in a better situation now because he has the volume and he could go in there and execute and play point guard. But the hit to that situation is the fact that he didn't really play pre-draft as much, and plus we still have to see what he's going to do at point guard. It's easy to just try to plug and play numbers, but we still got to see what he does at that point guard position. Duck hasn't been Duck. He had a good game this year so far, but he's going into, in my opinion, a losing situation. So does that necessarily help him? Not necessarily. So that's that on that. The biggest takeaway from this is the Wizards trading away all their picks, which again indicates that either it's going to be a full reset or they're going to be blowing it up and starting fresh over. So, I mean, it pretty much all speaks for itself if you're able to pencil out the small details and stuff like that. One thing I will say is, like, with this trade happening, is like these players have to understand, like, now you definitely 100% have to dedicate yourself to the game. Because Duck just left, I believe, the conference finals, playing for the Knicks last season.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's on the Magic
block. He's on the trade block, and I mean, again. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Versa. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. It's from that to the trade block to playing for one of the worst teams in the league is crazy. So if that doesn't tell you, like, you need to step your shit up, it's just like, it's like mind blowing. Like, I don't think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, that's here. Like, I don't think I've ever seen no shit like that before. Like, somebody that went to that far in a playoff run and just got traded to a bottom contending team, like a bottom team, bottom tier team.
That's wild. That's actually wild. I mean, I will say the one thing about the Magic that kind of shocked me, that Cav was the first player that they traded off this team. I felt like Snubby, with the way Snubby's been playing so far, I'm shocked Snubby was not the player moved off this team. And also, like, the fact that, like, you have Maddie still on the roster for the Magic. Like, we did, like, I don't know, obviously I don't get to see scrims, and maybe things weren't going well in scrims, and this is why all these trades happen. Maybe scrims tells a lot more, but, like, I don't know, like, I felt like the move would have been, like, before you trade Cap, I would have tried to get Snubby out of there, because Snubby, one, does not play in the game in the offseason, two, has not been playing well this year. You might as well see to what you can get for him. And I'm not saying it's going to be great, but this is not the first player I would have expected to be off the Magic team, compared to everybody else. But I mean, I don't know. Again, like I said, Versa, you can continue on your point, and then we'll move on to JT after that. Sorry.
No, and that pretty much sums it up. The fact that he just came from the conference finals from his respective team, and now he's on a bottom tier team, that's just wild, and that speaks volumes on. Yeah, it speaks volumes. So it's just like all these players are in situations where, like, they have to turn their season around. It's not as bad for Ty. It's not as it's not as bad for Ty because, I mean, he definitively wanted to play shooting guard, and I feel like he definitely was trending upward with his guard play at point guard for the Wizards. But
hey, Versa, real quick. What you talking about conference finals and what?
He's talking about the Eastern Conference. He's talking about the Eastern Conference Finals for the Knicks last year. They didn't get
last year.
They didn't get the Eastern Conference.
Knicks got second round by the way.
Yeah, second round. My bad.
All right, just to make sure. All right, you good.
But even with that, that's like, to make it that far is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then to just turn around and be on a bottom tier team is even crazier the following season. So, I mean, like I said, Ty is the only one that he was trending upward, and he's in the position to where like he can excel. But no cap has to prove a lot, and Caesar has to prove a lot, regardless of what his prior resume shows. I mean, he's in the league now, and he's going to a team that is trying to turn a new leaf, obviously, and he has to perform. So
I will say this about all four players in this trade: they're all trying to prove something at this point. And I'm not saying like not every player in the league is trying to prove something, but like Ty is making making a return to the league, right? Like he basically, I think it was in season 3 he was drafted, missed out on season 4, comes back this season to be like kind of like, I don't want to say the saving grace for like Wizards DG, but he was the pick. He's supposed to come in and like kind of like, again, he wasn't expected to be JBM, but he was expected to kind of bring them semi close, and he gets traded. Now he's going to a Kings team that, again, he's in a pretty good role, which I think I think it's a better role for him to play. But at the same time, like he got put into a big position that really could have helped him kind of in a way created more longevity, and we see that with the PG role. Like if Ty would have succeeded, and again, I don't think he played that bad. I just think that this was a little bit of an impatient trade, in my opinion. But I think that for Ty, like he's trying to prove something. Cap is a guy that everyone's saying year too early guy. I mean, Duck has had his struggles, and that's kind of like a conversation that people have had a lot around Duck is his struggles all the time. He's been one of the most talked about people, in my opinion, when it comes to talking about struggles. And then Ant, it's just his background, the stuff that he's done in his past, and he's already on a thin line. And him getting traded, like again, I don't think he was necessarily playing terrible on the Kings, but like now he goes to a Knicks team, and let's say if he doesn't perform on this Knicks team, and could be one of those people that he already has a lot of things going on for him. Like if he doesn't play well on this Knicks team, like he's in a danger zone as well. I think all these guys can easily be in very, very bad place, like a bad place coming into next year. Especially with a really good guard class coming into next year. I guarantee at least 2 of these guys will not be in the league next year. I will make that bet. That's a kind of a hot take I'll have because of their situations and how it goes for them finishing this year. But JT, I kind of want to get your thoughts on this trade.
To be honest, it's weird. That's the best way I could use it. It's weird. Like, I can't even say like it's crazy because none of those guys are actually hooping. Like, Ty's not hooping. Ant's playing decent at the 2.
Yeah.
But their team's not hooping. Duck's not hooping. Duck didn't play the game. And Cap, he's still trying to find a way to come into his own. So when I say weird, it's almost like you just don't know how any of them will go. Like when I think of Ant teaming up with Stick, Malik, Carey, and Glow, I just don't even know how that works.
That is just an interesting to you. I'm sorry, go ahead, JT.
I don't know how that works. Like not even on a racial standpoint, but just like a personality standpoint. But it'll be interesting because, to be honest, all 4 of these players got traded for a reason. Yep. Like Duck can do what he wants, but Duck is on and off. Duck and Malik's dynamic is inconsistent. And some days they are perfectly cohesive and they mesh well. And then there's some days like this season, can't remember which exact game it was, but Malik had 29 points. They're down 3 last shot, and Duck has 6, 8 points. He comes out and shoots a fucking heavy with 16 seconds on the clock to lose the game. Like at that point, you have 6, 8 points all game. What are you taking a shot for? Unless it's just completely butt bonk. But give your shooting guard the ball. But same thing. Like Malik could be playing bad, and then sometimes when Duck shot the ball, he shouldn't. So like their dynamic, in my opinion, it wasn't as consistent as it should have been. Like I don't know what that is because I don't like. Of course, I don't give a damn about the league drama, so I don't know like how close they were and what they truly thought about each other. But just on the court, from what I see, that trust just 100% didn't seem like it was there. So now trading up to a Miami team, he'll have the floor. Like, they aren't a bad team 1-5. He just now has a chance to just go off. So if he goes to that team and his play is inconsistent, because it wasn't last year, but it was this year, but it's the beginning. So if he goes to this team and he plays bad, it's on him. Mm-hmm. He has those keys. And it's the same thing with Cap. Like, Cap is going to a team where he has all vets. He can simply become a sponge. And I even talked to him. He has, I feel like, the mindset to turn his season around. He's figuring the game out. He has that confidence. He's already a game manager. He just has to get better at just, being glitchy, picking his spots, knowing what he likes to do to score on top of calling the plays. And then Ty, I feel like Ty just, I'm not sure. I don't know if that was just too big of a moment for Ty, or I don't know if it was too quick. But I know now he gets to just play shooting guard. He gets to play off ball. He plays defense. Mama gets a chance to figure the game out more. So as much as I can say this trade isn't something crazy, it's only crazy because it's 14. Yeah. When you look at the talent involved, it's not crazy like the last trade we just talked about. But it's just like every team kind of needed something different in a sense. And I don't know if it was too early. I think it was a little too early. But Joe Vegas made a stellar point earlier when I was talking to him. He said that you don't have regular season to work out the kinks.
Yeah.
So every game really matters. So like how I'm doing 3v3 remote play now, it's ending next week, which is money again. Like, there's no time to just regular season, you could lose a couple, you still got the ticket. Which you still have the ticket now, but it's just like every game is almost a money game. So the trade is just weird. I don't dislike it. I don't like it. It's just, in my opinion, it's very peculiar. It's weird. It's just a bunch of players being thrown around, and we don't know how it's gonna work. So yeah, I can agree. It's early, so we just have to wait and see how this turns out because there's no superstars in this trade.
I think everyone brought up good points. The number one thing, I felt like the trade was premature. I think this was a very, we got a lot of players that were again, the conversation between Ty and Cap was, all right, give them a little more time to develop. And we saw that at a Ty. Ty was starting to kind of get into it a little better. I don't know if it was just after getting first rounded, they just were what the hell, we need to make a move. And the thing is, it's if I close my eyes and you told me that we just traded Ty in a first round pick, I would not guess that they got Cap out of that. I would have guessed they got something better. And it's nothing against Cap. Cap's not a terrible player, but the Magic are a bad team right now. But I don't know. Some of it does fall back on the PG, and I think Cap is the same situation as Ty, where we're waiting for him to progress and get better. So it's it's not like they changed their situation and they gave up their first. So that's what I didn't like about this, the Wizards in this trade at all. And the ant season dynamic in New York, I don't know how that's gonna work. I felt like the Kings, when he was on the Kings, I was all right, he I felt like he probably was more relatable to just personalities, how Mama and Walnut
Crazy time to be alive.
Oh God, Tina. But no, I felt like he it seemed, I was all right, he seems like he fits in a little better with a guy like Mama Walnut, who are big brother, they're kind of the big brothers to him in a way, it looked like. And I don't know, this trade just did not make sense to me to see Ant go to the Knicks. I did not expect him to be on the Knicks. It just, I feel like that was a weird dynamic. And Duck, I feel bad for Duck because Duck is up and down, and it's on him that he didn't play the game in the offseason, but he's going to the worst team in the league, and this could be his, outro. Because I'll be honest with you, if he goes on this team and they're still the same results, one of the worst scoring teams in the league, just playing they have been, it's just, it's not going to go well. And I mean, they could retain him, I guess, in the offseason, but it's just I don't know, this is a danger zone for all these people, in my opinion. All four of them are in danger of being out of the league coming into next year just because of the way the guard, I can just feel it. that, like I said, I think two out of the four of these guards will not get drafted next year. And I'm not saying we should, like, I know we shouldn't really think that far ahead, but I just feel like that's how this trade's going to impact more than just the present. It's going to impact the future. Because obviously the Wizards are made this trade because they're blowing it up. Because it's this trade was probably influenced by what a player said. Like to them. I don't know if Dave probably said, "Hey guys, this is my last season here, and then I want out." You know what I mean? And again, maybe they respect their players and they're gonna listen to all the requests because I mean they won 2 titles, so I'm sure like whatever their players want to do or wherever they want to get traded, they're gonna try to get them there. So, but
I mean, just to interject, Dayfry didn't even know. Like he woke up to the trade today.
that's even worse. That's even worse. That's even. I'm not gonna lie. Like that's listen. I understand front office got to make their own decisions, but this was a bad one, in my opinion. And I think that they've made a lot of good moves over the years. Like all the picks they had in that season 3 draft, that draft alone, like I mean, shoot, it was great. But this was probably, again, I don't know if other than Pat, I don't know who else makes decisions on this exactly. But this was a bad trade for the Wizards, in my opinion.
If I'm being honest, I just feel like they probably saw maybe they just jumped the gun, like you said, and just saw like the trajectory of the season and how it's going, and they were just trying to make a change. Not only that, but like they probably just remembered how the offseason went and possibly players wanted out, so they tried to kill two birds with one stone. But that's just my take on it. I don't see like why that would factor in if currently in the season they're not in a terrible spot. I feel like they should have just prioritized what they had now. And I don't know. I just feel like it was too soon. But as far as like the duck trade, I mean, well, not the it's not the 14 trade, but I don't. People may disagree, but I feel like they could have possibly done more and got more rather than targeting ant season. But that's just my opinion. I'm not sure what's going on out there, but
You think they could have got more out of ant season?
they could have got somebody different. They could have got somebody that like fits like better with that team, possibly.
JT and Larry, so you guys were obviously on teams, like, and I don't know how much like you guys probably got to see with like front offices, but like people always talk about how hard it is to make trades in this league. Like, do you think these teams could have got better things out of these deals, or was this just how trades are in the league? Like, is it like that hard to get something better out of these trades? Like, I don't know. Some people make it sound like it's so hard to get deals done. Is that true? Like, I kind of want to hear from you, JT, and then Larry, if you guys know anything about that.
I wouldn't say that's true. I feel like teams just kind of jump on what they can get. Like teams that show the most promise, that are the most urgent, that kind of show the most, urgency to get it done. Teams will kind of jump on, but it's not hard to really get trades done. It's just getting teams to agree, and then once teams agree, it's just getting it done, which isn't really that difficult. It's just how certain teams go. Certain teams, as you see, they panic. They kind of take what they can get. They don't really take time to look around. If it has some kind of upside, that's good enough. So is it hard to get more? No, but can they get more? You just don't know, and that's kind of why teams, in my opinion, take what they can get at the time, because by the time you ask around and do all this stuff, the 2K community can't hold water. Now Duck know he's on the block, and he could be on the court playing weird, not necessarily, but it's just that chance, and you don't like that. You don't like that or want to take that chance, because I went through it in season 2 when I was literal dog shit. I was getting calls from all these teams about my team is hitting them up. And I'm asking my team, and my team is telling me, no, we're not. But I'm like, hey, motherfucker, somebody lying. I don't know who it is, but somebody lying. But in a sense, I was just like, you know what? It's a business. And in an instance, if we would have went like 0-5, 0-6 that season, they would have shipped me a Reese 100%. Probably me, to be honest, at the time, because I had the bigger name and a better name, because Reese wasn't at that mid-season peak he hit. But that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah. Larry, do you got anything to say?
far as the trades go, what were you saying? Like, is like
Okay,
value?
okay. No. The question is because like I know that you and JT both have experience in this league, and you kind of like, is it that hard for teams to make trades in this league? And also like, to kind of go off of that question as well, like you were a player that kind of found out about a trade like last second, like that you were getting traded to a team, like what is your thoughts on like like on like is it hard to make trades in this league, and also like what's your thoughts on the communication that you should be having with your players on trades, especially a team that won 2 titles, the fact that like a player woke up and didn't even know that there was a trade going on, like is there like some level to where like we need to like kind of involve the players, like I don't know, like it's kind of like I don't know how to kind of put that into a question form, but I kind of want to get your thoughts on it.
I just feel like the like upper management and like majority of the teams, you got to just know how to walk the fine line of like professionalism and also like building to like a camaraderie, especially with your guys, your like star guys, your guys who have been there, your face, like your quote unquote faces of your team. You should have a relationship with them to like input matters, but at the end of the day, you make the final like say like, and I think that's where it's like I don't know if it's hard. It could be hard. It could be that they just don't care to do it. It could like we don't know, but I feel like if there was a point where like teams actually like brought players in as far as like certain things go with trades and even certain draft picks where like yo your input means a lot to us, this is the way we're leaning, we want to hear your feedback, cool, that works out great. But a lot of times, man, it's like guys like whether it's the panic button, the trigger happy, or they feel like a situation has become unfixable, whether it's a guy's just playing that bad, a level of toxicity, a locker room thing where multiple guys don't want to play with them. Things like that happen all the time, which is understandable. And we don't know about that because we're not there to see it firsthand. But I do think a lot of these situations could definitely be handled better as far because like Versa and JT said, I mean, look at the 4 people on the screen. Like this isn't. It's not like anybody got robbed here. I don't think anybody got robbed. I think this is like obviously the lower tier of like
GG's.
guard this year. You know what I mean? Like, and these aren't bad 2K players, but once you get to that level of, you got to remember this is the best in the world. It's just like in the NBA. Like if you're low, like if you're in this league where one night you got to face Giannis, one night you got to face LeBron, one night you got to face KD, one night you got to face Kawhi. Like it's the best of the best. So it's like these guys have got to play against some of the best players in the world night in and night out, and they're not really, they're not really hooping this year. They're not really hooping this year, or if they're playing decent or average, their team's not winning. And teams are, I think what JT said, what Joe said, like kind of hits it on the head. There's no regular season to kind of like figure it out. Like, all right, boom, we're already eliminated from that first 5v5 tournament. Now we're not looking so good in 3v3. We got to make a move because next thing you know, if we don't pick it up right here in this 3v3 stuff, we don't make it into bracket play next week in Indy. And then right after that, it's back into 5v5 group play, and like we're back at square one. So you gotta kind of like the season's shorter. I think everything will be done like mid-August. Guys will be coming home mid or early August. Like this is very short. We're already in May. Like this is like 3 months left. So it's like I get the decision making part, but it does like for a guy like Day Fry, you just back to back chips. Like you're obviously the face of the team. Jack's gone. I do feel like a situation like that should be like some type of involvement, like, yo, hey, Ryan, we're thinking about making a move for Cap. How you feel about it? And then you can kind of bring him in on it. But I don't know. Again, we don't know what goes on behind closed doors. There's 2 sides to every story. I think it could be handled differently, especially for guys that are like faces of franchises. But at the same time, there's guys who get moved and they are the face of the franchise. So we never know. I just think that like make it fun for your players. You know what I mean? Like the reason that guys don't want to go to Indy is because they hear about stories about what goes on there. You know what I mean? Or like management, or this or that. Like make it fun for your players. Like you got to know how to have that balance to where like it's professionalism. You're doing things the right way, but your guys also respect you and they want to be there. Like if guys want to play for you, it's easier to make trades. You know what I mean? Like it's not really hard to get a guy or have like recruit a guy in the off season or during your interview process in the draft. If guys actually know that you're a cool dude and they want to play with you, just build a relationship with these players. And I think some of these managers try like I literally had a manager tell me in an interview why should I pick you over this guy? Like, how do you do that to somebody in an interview? You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say the manager or the player, but it's like you don't. That's not the way you conduct the interview, bro. You don't tell somebody why should I pick you over a what like why? I don't know. You tell me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's just certain ways to go about things, and I think that's the learning curve of the league, man. As the league continues to try to grow and guys get blessed with different opportunities, whether it be coaching, GMs, draft analysts, scouts, whatever the case may be, it's a learning curve. Because I know from those 3 years I spent, every year felt like a different obstacle to overcome and a new thing to learn. So it's just you got to take it with a grain of salt. You're playing 2K, but it's also a job. There's also a level of thought process and professionalism that go into these things. So it's just something that people figure out on the go, I guess.
No, I definitely agree. The one interesting thing that I will say about this trade before I ask about winner, loser, and 50-50, I wonder what one of these players does not want to play where they currently are, and if there will be another trade to move the player, kind of like a Bash situation where like Bash gets traded to Dukes and Benitos, and he right away doesn't want to be there.
Well,
I wonder.
not to cut you off, Chad, but I don't think these dudes are in a position to do that. Like you were saying, how like this could be like an outro for Duck. Like I don't think these guys are in a position to do that. Bash actually had success in the league. I think he made playoffs, or he was like one of the better like defensive PGs. He actually had a decent season. You know what I mean? Like he was in a position to negotiate because he was like playing well. These guys right here, kind of like in the lower tiers, or I don't want to say bottom of the barrel, but you know what I mean. They're not the most successful so far this year. They haven't been playing that good, so I don't think they're. You got to know when you're in a position to negotiate. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, they might say that they want to go somewhere else after this, but that could also hurt them to a point where they're not in the league no more. But if they were playing a little bit better and they had maybe a little bit more value, then they could like maybe negotiate. But right now, from being traded because of, I guess, poor performance, you're not really in the spot to negotiate to go somewhere else, I don't think.
I will counter that though. So if your back's against the ropes, right, and you know that like, all right, let's say Duck, right? Duck's in the worst situation out of every single one of these guards right now, because he went from being on a team that okay, you know what I mean, like they made a little run in the tip off. They were in the semifinals last year. Then he goes to a team that's never made the playoffs, a group of players that have all been playing pretty, like again, the team's been playing pretty bad so far. I mean, now is there an upside if he succeeds? Yeah, it looks great on him. But the same token, it's like he could, in a way, be like, hey, you know what? Maybe I can try to like get out of here and try to go to another team that might be a little more successful. Because the problem is like you're playing for your life, right? You're playing for your livelihood at this point, and you're on Magic Gaming. Like, like I'm not gonna lie, there's no future in Magic Gaming at this point because of just there's a lot of people that don't want to go play for the Magic. It's a thing. There's definitely people that have said, and I've heard this on countless occasions, and that there's a couple of orgs like that in this league that people don't want to go play for. And it's nothing against it. They just haven't shown success, so people don't want to go play for them. You know what I mean? Like that's just part of it. Like right now, the Hawks. How many people do you think? Like obviously, other than people who are outside the league, I don't think the Hawks are going to get many star players at this point because they haven't shown success. People don't want to go there. That's not a destination people want to be at. And the Magic are kind of in that realm as well. So like there, it's not like Duck goes there. All right, we're gonna like Duck's like I see a future here, like to get like for winning. No, it's gonna be an org that again we're already looking at another bad year for Magic Gaming, and I don't think it's gonna get any better for Duck. I think Duck. It's kind of tough, but like I honestly would try to like play my cards and kind of gamble. I know most people that wouldn't do it, but I would gamble and try to see if like I can get to somewhere else because I don't think this magic situation could be the end of you because you're in such a bad you're on such a bad team. So
yeah, I mean that makes sense, but you gotta look at it both ways too. Because if that's how you want to look at it, then it's literally the same situation I was in.
Yep.
Like, but the thing is this is that I was actually playing well. Like season 3, I averaged the same stats as Dayfry and Rhea, and they were MVP finalists because they were on winning teams. I was actually playing well and was traded, and I was like, all right, well, I had a great year. I had a good year the year before that, and I had a decent year the first year. So I've improved every year. I've gotten better every year, and I'm doing what I got to do. Let me test the waters and try to get to a better situation. and I was viewed as as bad for that. When all I was really trying to do was look out for my mental health. You know what I mean? I was looked at as a villain for that type of shit. So it's like it's different for Duck because he hasn't even like been performing. So if I was him, like I've been through it all, and I would just take it with a grain of salt. I mean, the Magic didn't really draft too good. They didn't even draft a lock. So it's like you can't really go in there expecting to just go and turn around this franchise to a point where like y'all just dominate. But if you come in every day on time, you know what I mean, your body language is good, your work ethic is good, you do your job, you show up every day, and you just try to get better. That's really all you can do because at this point you got to just play the cards you were dealt. And the 2K League is all about opportunity. Dayfry even, me and him talk about that all the time. It's just like if he wasn't blessed with this position he was in after that trade to the Wizards, where getting Jack and Awkward and those guys, like Dayfry could have been ruled off too. He could have been toxic and a bad teammate and maybe out the league if he didn't win. Because that's what happens. It's like people just no matter what, it's like that image will be portrayed that way if you're not winning. So if I was Duck, I'd just show up every day, work hard, and you live with the results at the end of the day. These are the cards you were dealt. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yep, definitely is. I do want to go around the table and ask, your guys' thoughts on winner, 50-50, and loser. I want to start off with you, Larry. Who are the winners in this trade? Who are the losers? And is there like any 50-50? Like, I know it's obviously tough with 4 teams, but like, who do you think is like the clear front runner in this trade at this point?
I still say the winner in this trade probably is the Wizards. They're not getting the best player here. I think Duck's probably the best player here, skill wise, but for what their team needs, I think Cap might have been one of the guys that they were looking at in the draft regardless, and he went a little early. So if he's there, they might pick him. So I think in this situation, they feel comfortable because they're getting a guy that they, probably had a few interviews with, maybe probably would have drafted if he was available. And he fits the system. He's going to listen to Dayfry. He's going to buy in. He's going to fit the culture, the comms, the talking, he's probably like, stick skill wise, 2K wise, he's probably the least skilled player here. But he fit. It's again, sometimes it's just about fit. Like sometimes it's just about comfortability. And he's leaving a team that had no lock and no true identity. There's no leader on Magic Gaming. You know what I mean? Like there's no identity there. There's no dog ass lock that's got crazy comms, or there's no like, you know what I mean? Like Big Rain's a good player. He's a soft-spoken guy, though. Like, there's no force there. He's coming to a team that's established. They got a leader. They got a core. They got comms. They got structure. So it's like it allows him to just come in and just do a little bit and kind of just feed off of that. So I think the Wizards kind of like they feel that they won. I'm sure they feel like they got the guy that they were probably going to draft anyway.
And what about 50-50 and losers? Like who is the worst off in this trade right now?
Oh, the Knicks lose for sure.
Really?
The Knicks lose for sure. And Season is like he's a good 2K player, but I think from what JT was saying, it's like personality wise, it's like you got a bunch of different stuff going on over there. Like Malik's a dog, but it's the same thing. It's like we've seen Malik get 30 very efficiently, and we've seen Malik shoot his team out the game. So it's like this is like that high risk, high reward thing where I play with Ant in the combine, and when I told I was excited because I was playing with EU point guards and on bad servers, and when I told Ant let's get it, he was like, "Look, man, I'm not that good at this game, so don't have good expectations on me." Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what Ant's about to do coming into this situation. He could take it as like, "Yo, I'm going back to the East Coast where I'm familiar with." Maybe he look at it the right way, and he might come out and hoop. But I just feel like it's a whole another like fit as far as like personality goes, gameplay goes. He might have to defer to Malik. Malik might feel like he got the keys now. Malik might feel like, yo, give me that pill. So I really don't know. As far as I say like, yeah, I guess the 50-50s are mad. Like it's really like tough to put it. Like the Magic, I think the Magic got the best, like the most talented player. But it's the same thing, man. It's like they don't gotta like Snubby don't want to play lock. Maddie's not a lock. Like, who knows what they do going forward? Like, if I'm the Magic, even after this year, I just maybe keep Big Rain and nobody else. Like, these teams are all like a toss up. Beside, like that's why I'm saying the Wizards are the winner because the Wizards have the structure and the foundation going forward. Everything else is like a high risk, high reward. What if we got to hope that this pans out? The Wizards kind of just plug in a guy that kind of fits them that they were going to draft anyway and like live with the results.
No, I definitely agree with you. Versa, I haven't heard you talking a little bit. Who do you got? Who do you got winning this trade? Who's the loser of this trade? And are there any 50-50s in this trade?
There's only one winner and one loser, or
I mean, you could choose. I mean, everyone can win, everyone can lose. You could say all 4 teams lose this trade if you want to say.
I feel like the 2 winners in this trade are the Kings and the Wizards. I feel like just having that low ego glue guy in Ty could help the Kings turn their season around. And I know that Ty could score. Like, he displayed that a lot this pre-draft. So I definitely feel like that was a win for them. And I feel like to attest to Larry's point, the Wizards definitely are a winner in this trade just simply because they have the most structure out of the other 3 teams. So it's kind of like Cap is walking into a role where he knows what he has to do and he knows kind of what his expectations are. So he's not pressured much to just alter his game or fit in, if that makes sense. Like, he knows his role, he knows what he has to do, he knows his game style. Like, he knows what he's walking into. Versus Ant doesn't know what he's walking into with the Knicks, and the Knicks essentially don't know what they're getting with Ant coming in. Just like the Magic have an idea performance-wise what they're getting out of Duck, but they don't know which Duck is walking in. Duck could be walking in understanding like, hey, like, I'm gonna do my best, but at the end of the day, it's like there's only so much I could do. And if we're being like quite honest, like, they're already in a poor situation. So let's say hypothetically Duck comes in and he hoops for the remainder of this year, and they still don't make playoffs. Nobody talks about it because, let's be real, a lot of people aren't going to talk about a team that's losing. It doesn't matter if he's going off or not. So at the end of the day, only a certain amount of eyes are like people that actually pay attention are going to see that, and they're going to know, okay, well, he started off terrible, but he turned the season around. He was still hooping. You know what I'm saying? Him hooping individually isn't going to equate to wins. So without that, like, he could do what he's supposed to do and still get the raw end of the stick. And that's just the reality of it. Is it bad? Yeah. But can we change that? No. None of us are in position to change that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just being realistic.
No, I agree.
So for me, the Wizards and the Kings definitely won within this 14 trade, and the losers are the Knicks and the losers are the Knicks and the Magic, because I just don't see how they fight their way out. And as a team, I don't see how either of those teams like fight their way out, and I don't see those players being able to just fight their way out of the situations that they're in. By out, I don't mean like, oh, let me perform so I could be retained or get to another team. I'm talking about like actually performing to the point where they have longevity in the league. So,
no, good points. JT, are there winners and losers in this trade, or is it all 50-50?
Let's see. Winners, I'm gonna go Wizards DG simply because they got another game manager that just needs to work on his game, but I feel like he'll use them as sponges. He'll soak it all up, and he'll become better than what everybody made him. This is his one true opportunity to, in a sense, not be viewed as a year too early. Like even if they don't win it all, if he can get this team to the offs, like, what can you say? Because nobody has them in the offs right now, or nobody had them, and it was high at the one. But so if he does that, then they win. But I feel like Versa said, their foundation is the most established. They have their core four. That core four was there for back-to-back ships. So it's just plugging and playing a piece that kind of fits them more than Ty did. I just feel like they had so low of a pick with the Ty pick that it was like, at that point in time, it was, what's the best fit with what we have left, not is this the player we wanted all along. Definitely a winner for the Magic. I feel like they have a bottom three offense in the damn league. Bottom three, bottom five. So now they should have something. Of course, I'm kind of assuming again, but I've seen Duck have really good games. Duck's really good games this year are a solid amount better than Cap's good games this year. Loser, just off situation wise and personality wise, I'm gonna go Knicks. Now, can it work? 100%. But I don't know. I don't know how Ant will be at the one. On top of, I don't know how Ant will be with that team, and I'm more so worried about how Ant will be with that team. I feel like he'll put the work in as a player to become at least serviceable and decent at the one, because he was that at the shooting guard. He wasn't bad at the shooting guard at all when you look at his stats. It's just that team didn't get the job done and they lost a lot. And 50-50, like I want to say Kings because I don't know how the meshing will go with Ty and Mama. Like I know how it will go because he doesn't like, he's quiet, he's calm, cool, and collective. But is it that Mama needs more help, or is it that Mama just, needs a calling for the ball type guard to let him figure it out and kind of get glitchy? I don't know that. And then that first round pick, I mean, it's cute, but it's like only probably a couple more picks better than the pick they traded, especially with the way they're looking. So it's just like if the Wizards make the offs, that pick is not really that crazy, especially when it's a guard heavy draft class coming in and nothing else. So yeah, two winners, Wizards, Magic, 50-50, Kings, losers, Knicks.
Okay. Oh, wait. Where did you have? Who am I missing here? Oh, Kings. Where'd you have Kings?
50-50.
Okay, that's what I thought.
50-50.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna give my final thoughts on this trade, and then we're gonna run quick through the contenders and pretenders. We'll run quick through that. I think that for the Magic, they need to either get Duck or Chris Pesos. That's what they're gonna get. They're gonna get one of the two. All right. And what I mean by that is they're either gonna get Duck, the player that actually plays well, or they're gonna get Chris Pesos, who plays like shit. I think the Kings traded the wrong player. Personally, I think that based off of how Mama has been playing, I think Ant season has been playing decent. I think that Mama has definitely had some situations where he hasn't played well, so they should have traded that scrub. I think that the Wizards, I do like the cap. I like them getting no cap. I think that's a good fit. I think they got the best possible fit on their team. But I think that giving up that future first, I felt like they overpaid for him because it's like, think about it, 630 just got sold off for a future first. Like, I don't know, like, I don't really understand, like, what the value of players in this league are, but, like, if you look at that other trade, it literally, like, it's very similar in a way. You're, like, literally, like, it's a shooting guard for a shooting guard, but the difference is, like, okay, a team gets a first round next year, and like I don't know, like you got no cap, you're giving away no cap compared to like this other trade. Like I don't know, like I just don't understand the value in this league. And I'm not saying it always has to stay consistent, but like the fact that no cap is where the first round pick is crazy to me. That's just I don't know. That's just my thought. And maybe that's the only way this trade would have gone through, but it's just that's insane to me, in my opinion at least. Looking at the rest of this, I mean, if I was to give a winner on this trade, I do like the fact that the Magic go from still like they're a really bad team right now. They upgraded the guard position. They 100% upgraded. I do like everyone doesn't like this Knicks situation. I like it, but I'm gonna be 50-50 with it. I'm a little in between with it. I don't know how the personalities are gonna fit. But I'm a little in between with that one. I think a clear loser on this trade. I'll be honest. I don't know, like I feel like they could have traded Ant Season for something better than Ty, and it's nothing against Ty. I just felt like there's no way that they couldn't have gotten a better shooting guard out of this. Like I don't know. Like I feel like they definitely could have got a better shooting guard to like replace Ant compared to Ty. And nothing against Ty. Ty's a good player, but like I don't know. I felt like they could have got more value out of Ant, but maybe they were also limited on their options because Ant has limited franchises that he can go to. But um, and who am I missing? Wizards. Um, I'm 50-50 with the Wizards. I think I think they got a good player and a good personality that they can develop, but I don't like how much they gave up to get this guy. Especially compared to like what some teams have gotten for superstars in this league in the past. Um, but that is all we have to talk about with trades. Is there any final thoughts, JT, Larry, or Versa, that you guys have on the two trades that have happened so far?
Nope, not for me.
Alrighty. Go
Um,
ahead, JT.
I mean, just something quick. Just
Yep.
I just hope now that these teams made this move and it was quick, kind of like you said, premature. I just hope now that all these teams give this time. Like, I want to see these four players ride it out on their team for the rest of this season because this was premature. It was quick. So give it time to flourish. Give it time to mature. Don't let it kind of like go. I don't know. Don't let it just go downhill quick and then try to ship them again or make the situation weird. Just in a sense, let them hoop. Like let these teams figure it out with these new players because they're all good, cool guys who, in my opinion, they all kind of went to better situations except Ant Season. But I don't know. Like I can't assume for Malik Stick carrying glove. Like they might be cool with it. They might be open to it. Just from the outside looking in, we think it's weird. But it might end up working out. So in a sense, yeah, I just want these teams to let these four players rock and let them figure it out.
Mm-hmm. No, I definitely agree with you on that one, JT. Like, I really think that some of this was like it's gonna be regret. Like some of these teams are gonna regret it. I get it, man. There's only so many tournaments to make it, but you could have at least made it to the churn to make this decision. I feel like a lot of these decisions would have been better timed after the churn, and maybe sometimes you got to sell players before their value sinks, right? Or I think that's kind of what they look at too, because all these players, in essence, like they're not in the shitter, but they're close to it. You know what I mean? They're definitely close to being in the dump. I think they all had potential to kind of go beyond that, but I think that these were just early sells because they were scared that their values were going to drop to a point where they couldn't trade them. Um, but I will say this: I did feel like this was premature. But moving on to the next segment is pretenders versus contenders. So basically, I'm going to run through everybody. You don't have to really give much of an explanation. I'm going to name a team, and you need to tell me if they are a pretender or a contender. And basically, what that means is like, all right, are they a contender for the championship, or are they just a pretender? Basically, meaning like they have no chance. They're not go. They're not making the title run. I'm gonna start with Versa. We're gonna go through the Eastern Conference first. Versa 76ers GC, pretender or contender?
Contender.
Contender. Alrighty. All right. JT, Celtics crossover gaming, pretender or contender?
Pretender.
Pretender. All right. Larry, Gen G, pretender or contender?
Contender.
Alrighty. Going back to going back to Versa. Grizz Gaming, pretender or contender?
Pretender.
Pretender. Alrighty. Um, JT, Hawks Talent, GC, pretender or contender?
I feel like you don't like me at this point. Pretender, bro.
Larry, Heat Check Gaming, pretender or contender?
Pretender.
Alrighty. Um, I'll do two teams real quick just because I skipped myself. Hornets Venom, they are a pretender. There's no question about that. Knicks Gaming, I think that they are a pretender as well. I don't think they have any chance. Um, Versa, Magic Gaming, pretender or contender?
Pretend, but I'll say this: I feel like with Duck having the keys, I feel like this trade put him in this situation, kind of ignites him. This is just me having faith in him because I fuck with Duck. That's my guy.
Wait, are they a pretender or contender?
Pretender, but
Okay,
I
I was
just feel
making
like
sure.
I feel like he will make that team better. It is definitely an upgrade, but I don't think it's enough to make them a contender.
Yeah, I agree.
I feel it. Up next, Nets GC, Demon JT, pretender or contender?
Leave it where you got it. Contender.
Alrighty. Larry, Raptors Uprising, pretender or contender?
Man, there's we don't have anything that's in the middle of both.
That's a tough one. I ain't gonna lie.
We don't have anything in the middle of both.
Nope. It's either it's
Can
one
you
or
put
the other.
can you put the logo halfway on each side? Nah, man, I don't know, brother. Raptors have good defense. I'm just not sold on like the offensive side of things there. They definitely have good D. I think Saints like one of the best locks in the league. I think Type's a good defender. And they have good defense. It's just a matter if their offense and their guard play comes around. If I had to pick right at this very moment, I would say Pretender. But I think they're one of the teams that you get hot at the right time later towards the end of the season in the right place, right time type of situation where they could definitely make a run.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. Good points.
All right, champ. Wait. You just went to the. We only had 3 teams on contenders. We have to have six. Six
No.
make the alls. So 3 of them have to be slid over. Now that we chose which is which, we have to choose which of the 3 that we call pretenders
Okay. Well,
are contenders.
this is how we're gonna do it. Okay.
Okay.
This is how we're gonna do it. Okay. So Versa and JT. Well, actually, I'll ask each of you. Versa, what team on the pretender side do you think you disagree the most with? Like as a pretender.
I wouldn't say I disagree. I'll definitely give them an edge to be a contender. I feel like if Sav turns around his gameplay, he definitely have like a great defense. I'm a big believer in Sauce. I'm a big believer in Future Clutch. I'm a big believer in Detroit. Their front court is immaculate. Beast Move is a dog. Sav, we know what Sav is capable of. I feel like it's just a matter of confidence and for him to start executing. So I personally, if they figure that out, I like them as a contender.
Okay, JT, what about you? Is there a team over there that you feel like is like really like you can't believe they're on the pretender side right now?
All right. Don't put words in my mouth. Can't believe it's kind of crazy. But give me the Raptors.
Raptors. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have a good reason why?
I just think they're that team that once Fana gets it going, I feel like everybody else is kind of like holding up their end. Fana is still like figuring out how to play with them and how to, kind of be that mix of facilitating and passing. And I feel like once he gets that going, that they'll be a top 6 team in the East. Now, if they was in the West, of course, no. But in the East, yeah, I'm going Raptors.
Okay, what about you, Larry?
Well, if they bring over the Heat and the Raptors, that's 5. How many make off? 6, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the East is so free. It's just like, wait, we're missing East teams though. Where's the Wizards?
Wait, oh shit! What?
Champ, you're a bot. Get the
Like,
fuck.
what's going on?
No, they're the only team missing. They're the only team missing. Well, I mean, either way, I'm going to say they're still a contender.
Yeah, for sure. That's the other team right there. That's 6.
Yeah. So we'll bring over the Heat, and we'll bring over the Raptors. What was it? Versa, you said Heat.
Versa said Heat.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what we'll do. Alrighty. So we have our 6 teams here in the Eastern Conference.
That looks better,
Yeah.
way better. We had 3 contenders in a 16 playoff. That looks insane.
I mean, it's just the East, bro. The East is just
gross.
No, it's definitely the worst like thing, but it's like at the end of the day, once playoffs start, all 6 teams contend at an equal value. It's just whoever wins.
yeah. Like based off of what we've seen so far, I wouldn't be surprised if those 6 teams right there made playoffs. Obviously, anything can happen. There's a lot of time left, but that right there seems like if the playoffs started today, I feel like that's what the 6 would be.
Mm-hmm. No, and that's why I do this content, because I want to see like the point of like this is all timing content. And that's why I wanted to do this, to see like where we stand today and to see where we stand in a couple weeks. But okay, going to the Western Conference. We have Blazers. I'm going to start with Larry on this one. Larry, Blazer 5 Gaming, contender or pretender?
Pretender.
Alrighty. JT, Bucks GG.
That's tough. That's tough.
Mm.
West. I might change it, but like you don't have the teams in my face. So what you do, but it looks weird. Never mind. I see you.
Do you want the team? Here, I got the whole rosters right here. All the rosters, obviously.
I know the rosters. I ain't no damn bot. Get paid to commentate. Give me the contender. Sixth place.
Okay. Versa.
6.
Versa. Pretender for Cavs Legion.
I chose them to be my dark horse team in the beginning of the year, and people may not like agree, but I just feel like Bash is about to be like a big focal point in how the rest of the season turns out. Like they have like the pieces, like Fakey and Oreo is great. Oh, let me look at the West team.
Can I ask a question real quick? Not to cover us off. I'm pretty sure I watched the Cavs play 3v3 and Bash wasn't on the court. Am I right about that, or am I wrong? I could be wrong.
Yeah,
you're right.
So why is Bash not playing 3v3? Because if I'm not mistaken, I heard the part of the Dukes thing was that him and Killy both wanted to play 3v3.
In his interview, he said he was going to play. He'll probably play center or the power forward spot.
Bash?
That was on the broadcast. Yeah, he had one of them little, interviews, one-on-ones, and he spoke on how he approves of Jaden playing and that he'll probably slide to the power forward position for his team, which kind of is crazy having Fakey and Oreo or D-Love, but
exactly my point. Exactly.
But I don't. I don't make the calls. I ain't no coach.
Like a lot of
shit. Read.
That sounds like a lot of bullshit. Listen. That sounds like a lot of bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. They blowing smoke up.
I don't know nothing. I just listen.
I'm gonna go pretender for now.
Pretender? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Jazz game. What is it? My turn, I think. Yeah. Jazz Gaming. Contender. I mean, we'll come back down to Larry. Kingsguard Gaming. Larry. Pretender or contender?
We got to say pretender for right now. It's one of them situations where, just like last year, it looked good on paper, but they're not putting it together. And I wouldn't be surprised if they make another move soon, whether it be Nadal, whether it be Crush. I think there's another move to be made in the next coming days or weeks with Kingsguard. I'm just not sure for who, but I don't think they're done making trades. So as of right now, they're a pretender.
Interesting. JT, Lakers Gaming.
My favorite team. Contenders.
Hey, another contender by JT. Versa, Mavs GG. Tough one too.
So we got the Lakers, we got the Jazz.
Yep. We have three teams so far for the Western Conference.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And see, here's my thing: we have 3 teams so far, and you still have quite a few teams left.
I don't see them making it. I'll say contender.
Contender?
Yeah, I'll say contender.
Interesting.
Kenny Zeus has figured it out, and that's dangerous.
I think the Mavs. The Mavs are the Western Conference version of the Raptors.
Exactly. Yeah. So like where Fanta is, that's where Symptom is right now. And Symptom's just Jarvis, however, he just has to hit that on switch because Kenny figured it out. And their defense is there. Zay is ridiculous.
Zay can win Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. So it's all up to what Symptom is gonna do now to turn around to relieve pressure off of Zeus. Because Zeus is, we saw what Zeus did to the Jazz. That's a dangerous person to be playing.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Zeus went crazy. I'm not calling him Kenny no more. I'm calling him Zeus.
I know they call this man Zeus. Oh man,
just calling him Zeus.
You got Zeus. You got Xanos. Like, yeah.
I'm gonna just leave it at that. Because I like them at that 6 spot. They could definitely be that 6 spot team.
All right. Up next, Pacers Gaming. I'm gonna go Pretender. This team doesn't have a chance in hell. Maybe in 3v3. Going back down to Larry with Pistons GT. Pretender or Contender?
Coming in, man, the Pistons was like a bubble team for me, man. I like the bag motion pick. I wasn't too sure about the EG dude. Our Charger. Charger didn't really play last year. He was dealing with some personal stuff. Obviously, the retainment. Charger's a good teammate. Obviously, a close friend of Ramos, so we understood that. But Charger's never been bad at 2K. He just, it was like, again, we didn't see much of him last year, so it's like, it's hard to really say. It was one of those teams that could really surprise you in the end. And the tough part about it is they're in the West. So I feel like if the Pistons were in the East, they're a contender, like they're locked. But look at it right here, what we got. We got Bucks, Lakers, Mavs, Jazz. That's 4 out of 6. And you still got Wolves, Warriors, and Dukes, who have all probably been a little bit better than the Pistons so far. So it's like, at this day and age right now, I'll probably put them Pretender. But again, weeks from now, we revisit this. They might catch some steam. They might get a couple big dubs, make some money, and who knows? They might be a playoff team.
So,
at the moment, I guess Pretender, just for the fact of there's 2 spots left, and they're just not better than Wolves or Warriors just yet. So I guess Pretender.
Okay, Pistons GT. You guys are Pretenders. Up next, T-Wolves
temporarily.
JT, T-Wolves Gaming.
Come on, man. Appreciate the easy one.
Jesus.
Appreciate you.
I should have given him.
That's what I'm saying. I'm getting the hard ones.
Pop my pussy. Shake that ass. Go crazy.
That's an easy one. Go ahead and throw it over there.
Did I even ask you this one?
That's not even a question. But I do want to attest to Larry's point. That Pistons team is in the same situation as the Bucks and the Mavs, and they all have the common denominator, which is a shooting guard. It's not as heavily weighed for Johnny, but it is heavily weighed for Symptoms and EG, and I feel like that's the difference makers for them going forward, and how they're gonna determine how the season turns out. So those 3 teams specifically are like definitely like that 3-headed race for like that 5th, 6th spot.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, like, I will say those are the bubble teams, and I said, it's funny because I mentioned those were the bubble teams early on, and I just look at it now. I feel like this Pistons team has really like lowered my expectations overall. Like I thought they were gonna be a little better. I was a little concerned about like EG when they thought, again, EG's not a bad player. I just think that the way that Radiant's game is, I didn't know if it was going to be a good fit. And so far, it's not looking too good. But Dukes Infinitos, now this is tough because there's not any more spots, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Dukes Infinitos, I feel like they are a contender. But the problem, this is where we have to have this discussion. I think they're a contender. I think they're going to be a playoff team. I mean, they've obviously shown in like the tournament they've been pretty good. But I want to ask all 3 of you guys. I'll start with Versa. Is there a team in the contenders that is basically an imposter at this point? Like, what team is the imposters? What team is the most likely not to be a contender?
That's tough for the West.
Either or, either like I mean, I guess for the West, so we'll do West first, then East.
I don't see Ducks edging the Mavs, and I don't see them edging the Bucks. If any team that they would edge is the Pistons,
Didn't they
and
beat?
that's scary to say. It's scary to say because it's like we know Radiant's resume, we know Ramo, we know Charger's a great glue guy. Like Bag has shown a bit of promise, but it's just like that's their closest matchup. Like I don't see them like going forward because somebody that impressed me this year is definitely Cease from the Bucks. Like I feel like they've gained ground and they're going to continue to gain ground. I feel like Mavs have gained ground and turned the season around a little bit from their production in the last tournament, and they will continue to gain ground if JT steps it up. Um, and I feel like the Pistons are like the odd man out that would be in the fight with Ducks. I'm not sure if they would just edge them out, but that's their closest possibility. That, in my opinion.
Interesting. JT, is there anybody on the contender side that you feel like is just does not belong there?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with my old team. I'm gonna go with Pistons GT. I feel like they are a team that they need to figure out their defense, but they've been in hell games and shootouts and have one of the best offenses in the league. So in a sense, it's like when you know how to score, it's just putting it together on the other end. Having a top 5 offense in the league, I can't just say that team is pretending because over half of the league is struggling to score. So I feel like if over half the league is struggling to score and they're not, they can figure out how to slow teams down to 5 less points. Like, about them, their offense going into bracket play, I don't know how it's changed. Going into Indy, they're averaging 73.8 points a game scored and giving up 73.4. So a 0.4 difference. So they just don't play defense. They're 2-3 because they don't play defense. They score. So I think they'll figure out how to at least have some decent defense, which is all they'll need at the rate that they're scoring. So yeah, I'm going Pistons GT.
Interesting. What about you, Larry?
You said someone on the contender side that's a pretender, or wait, what was the question?
Either or. Like if there's someone like on the wrong side, like honestly, if there's someone on the contender side that you feel like doesn't belong there, there's someone on the pretender side that doesn't belong there. Like who's like, is there someone that's just like glaring to you that you're just like, or do you think this is perfect? Again, I'll probably move Duke's Infinitos over to pretender, but I really personally, I'll give my opinion after you give yours, Larry, and I'll give my thoughts. But is there anything like anybody that you feel like?
Man, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have to say I have to agree with JT probably. Like the Pistons are the only team that I feel like that are on that side that have like the promise to make a run. It's just like I said, unfortunately for them, Detroit somehow fell in the Western Conference. I don't know if we like lost our maps the day we were picking sides and stuff, but like Detroit somehow like ended up in the West, and it's tough for them because I feel like if they're in the East, you got Genji, Nets, Raptors, Sixers, Wizards, Heat. I feel like they take either the Heat spot or maybe like even the Raptor spot, somebody's spot. I feel like they could make a final 6 in the East, even with the way that they're playing right now. And like JT said, if their defense just gets a little bit better, Radiant knows what to do. We've seen Radiant get 30s and 20s and all type of crazy stats. Radiant is an offensive machine, so it's like you got Ramo. If they could figure out some type of like defense to just slow other teams down just a little bit more with the way that they're scoring the ball, I could see them taking a spot from Dukes or Mavs or Bucks or something late like that in the year. So I mean, we've seen the Cinderella stories before. Teams that look bad early in the year end up making playoffs or catching steam late and even making a championship run, whatever the case may be. So I think that I guess that dark horse is the Pistons for me too. I agree with JT.
Yeah. I definitely do think you guys all bring up great points. I am going to say that for Mavs and Bucks, I think one of those teams is going to be out. I don't think you're going to see both those teams. Like, again, I understand why you guys said they're both contenders. but one of those teams is going to fall out, in my opinion, and I think they're going to get replaced by either the Pistons or Duke's Infinitos, one of those two teams. I don't think we see both Mavs and Bucks in playoffs, in my opinion. But for now,
I agree.
I think that if I was to say the team I think that's more likely gonna fall out of that picture, God, I feel like that Mavs team is more likely, in my opinion, to self destruct in a sense, like, and not be in that picture compared to the Bucks team, where I feel like the Bucks have a lot more diversity and a lot more weapons. I feel like we still got guys on the Mavs that are still trying to figure shit out. Not saying like the Bucks are perfect, but like the Mavs team, like we've seen how bad symptoms can get, and I feel like this team relies heavily on whether or not Kenny's going to show up. Because again, Zane, like again, like Zay and Jerry and them, like again, there was a game where Zay literally had to win them a game, which is insane. There's not many people you can say like, oh yeah, the lockdown won them the game. That's insane. Like like literally, I feel like they're riding on a lot of like teams are going to adjust to them more easily compared to other like compared to the Bucks. I think the Bucks are more complete compared to the Mavs, and I think in the long run, I think the Bucks are more likely to make it over the Mavs. So, I mean, is there anybody like if we were to pick a team to go over to pretenders, Mavs or Bucks, which one would we send over? Anybody?
I'm going Mavs.
You're going Mavs. Larry, what about you?
Yeah, I say Mavs too. I think the Bucks are just more well rounded at the moment. Mavs might have a little bit better defense right now, but the Bucks are not too far behind. And I think Cooks and Johnny Red right now got it a little bit more figured out than Kenny and the Jarvis do. So I would have it's close, but I would say the Bucks probably edge them out right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm gonna say pretender for Mavs. Because I don't see a scenario where both those two teams make it. I think those are like one of those two teams is gonna knock one another out of that contention for that last bubble spot, in my opinion. So, but so this has been contenders versus pretenders, aka NBA 2K League Fraud Watch. No, That's- but moving on. Is it like moving on to the last segment of the night? Is we're gonna be talking about the NBA 2K League in 3v3. Um, so obviously JT, good job by you. Obviously being a commentator and talking on the broadcast and stuff like that. You've had plenty of experience kind of watching these games, getting your feel of things. I know we had a spaces on like the first night where there was a lot of like there were some people who didn't like the 3v3 with the league. There were some people who did like it. So I kind of want to start this conversation with you, JT. Obviously, you could sit here and say, yeah, the 3v3 is a great impact for the league. But, like, how does it truly impact our league? And what were some things that you kind of, after, watching it for a week and kind of experiencing it for a week, what type of, like, things can you take from 3v3 for the NBA 2K League?
To be honest, it's so early. Like it's hard to truly call what it's done so far because it hasn't done much. But in a sense, it's brought a whole new community to our side. It's like people have to understand, in a sense, we're trying to grow as a league, which takes expansion, and that's in everything. Like it's making people want to feel included and feel like they can be a part of it from multiple directions. And 3v3 is the biggest thing 2K has. Like, Pro Am's not as big as anybody. I feel like anybody thinks it is. It's not that big. And that's just the truth. So, in a sense, it's like you have to be open to really like breaking things down and seeing how we can grow. And that's one of them. Like my thing was one of the things I said in Spaces weeks ago was for 5v5 to expand the way it has to. They need to put the league build in retail. which, it's rumors that might be true. So if you implement that with this 3v3 thing, then you can kind of look into conversations of contracts becoming a year and not 6 months, because now players can have multiple purposes and multiple ways to bring the league money. Playing the 3v3 build year long, playing the 5v5 build year long. Like, you have to, in order for the league to grow and players who quote unquote want more money and want to do more things, you have to find in ways for you to bring the league money. Because at the moment, I don't care who you are, you're not bringing the league nothing. All you're doing is pushing your own brand. You pushing your YouTube, your Twitch, that's it. And you push the 2K League Twitch because you paid to. I had that contract before, so I know what it is. It's a contract, so you do it. It's simple. It's quick off-season money because half these dudes don't even work. So that's like a free check. So in a sense, I like it because it gives us a chance to expand. I would rather look 2 years from now and say we went down that avenue and it failed, then 2 years later the league be on its last leg and maybe too late to save, and they're looking for different kind of ways to expand and it's too late. So I like that even though the league is doing good, they want to do better. And come on, man, I'm a 5v5 just like y'all. I was a league player. I don't like 3v3 as much as 5v5. But once I sat down and watched it, some of those games were more exciting than these East Slugfest when the final score is 48-46. And they be like, ooh, it's gritty. Hey, man, your guards can't fucking score. Shut that shit up. Like, they can't get a bucket. Like, your guard's 8 for 24. You talking about it's gritty. He wide open, shaking ass, breaking his back half the game. Like, you could call that exciting to watch, but it's not. It's just a competitive game, and that's what 3v3 is, a competitive game. Like, Fanta went 8 for 8 in one of them games, and he almost lost. He won 23-21, going 8 for 8. Like, it was a crazy back and forth game. Like, if you actually enjoy 2K and like watching stick, then 3v3 isn't bad at all, because that's when you see true point guards and locks with stick. Well, I'm a fan of it. I don't want to talk too much, let them talk, but I'm a fan of it because of the possibilities, not because I know it's going to do this, because I don't know what the hell it's going to do. But I do know that it can give us more room to just do what we want as a league in so many ways.
No, I definitely agree. I want to jump to Larry next. Larry, the league, I mean, you played in the league for a couple of years, and you obviously came into it 5v5. We're all 5v5 guys, but now the league kind of expands into 3v3. What is your thoughts on 3v3, and like, what do you also foresee for the future of this league, like the potential that it can reach because of 3v3?
I think the structure, like the thought was cool. Like, I definitely see why. Like, the league is gonna get more interactions on social media now with these guys and their like stage following, and their like. If you look at some of the names here, you got Annoying, you got the IQ Contained dude who's a streamer, the C4 Twins stream. So there's different. If you look at it from a marketing standpoint, it's tapping into a different crowd now on social media. These guys are retweeting their box scores, retweeting their highlights, things like that. Hey, check me out tonight. I'm balling on 2K League 3v3 thing. Whatever, cool. So it's tapping into a new fan base. From the marketing side, I get that. I just think it was went about the wrong way, because it should just never be a 5v5 tourney, a 3v3 tourney, a 5v5 tourney. That should never be a thing. The 5v5 should still have a season and its tourneys, and I think that the 3v3 should have also just been like a tourney thing. Just for, prize pool. Like, the prize pool matters. People like playing for money. Yeah, let's put some big money up for 3v3 too. Cool. That like, having it is not a bad thing. I'm not against it at all. It's definitely going to help in the long run as far as marketing the league goes, because it's a whole different crowd. And we know for a fact, I mean, Pro-Am has been the worst, like, I don't want to say fan base in 2K, but it's like the least favored mode. Like, Park and my team are their money makers. People are, dropping hundreds of dollars to make players for the stage and post scores and all type of nutty stuff. So those are their money makers. And the my team obviously buying packs and stuff. So the 5v5, the Pro-Am and all that stuff, the rec, that never got the love that it should have. So it's going to take the league some time to get where they want to, but the 3v3 helps definitely tap into that fan base that they were missing out on, especially when, like JT said, like these guys have their own brands from playing 3v3, from streaming stage. So annoying in these dudes when they're sharing streams and like, I watched Annoyance when he played the other day. The title of his stream didn't say anything about 2K League. It said playing 3v3 for $100,000 or something like that, like some crazy like title like that. So it's definitely going to help people like see something that they weren't seeing in the first place from a marketing standpoint. It's definitely going to help, but I just feel like the structure is bad. So if they make it next year where there's like just 3v3 tournaments for like prize pools and stuff like that, that would be cool.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I do know that there's been discussions, like again, like people just ideas kind of flowing around. Like some people think that the 5v5 should be where it normally is, and then 3v3 should just be like the fall thing. Like again, shout out to Harris for this idea. Org should be required to now retain 3 players and then use those or maybe they could kind of like find a way to where if you don't retain a third player, you go into expansion or something like that to take a player and like basically like you have 3 players in the off season that play in the 3v3 league. Like
Yeah,
I
that's a
think
good idea.
I think that like that way more people are getting contracts in the off season. Again, like the idea with like saying teams going to expansion, basically like, all right, let's say I don't want to bring back 3 players on this roster. I can choose like no matter what you have to bring back 2 because that's always been the rule. You bring back 2, but then like let's say you don't want to bring back a third player that was on your last year's roster. Your team gets like a pick in the expansion to go take a player to basically like play 3v3 in the off season. I think that would be a cool dynamic. Now it would suck because someone might lose their player in expansion, but I think it makes the league different. It makes it like because the problem I think that we're getting to the league at this point is we're starting to see teams that are getting super teams in a sense, I guess you could say. Like I hate to say it, like, you look at the T Wolves team, you look at this Warriors team. It's gonna be hard to break these teams up. Like, and there's nothing wrong with teams being good for for a bit, but it's like at one point, like if teams keep building up like their rosters, it kind of makes it hard for other teams to compete because it's already getting to that point where like the same orgs are consistently winning every year, and that's just good management. Like you gotta award that. But I think an expansion in the fall to where more people can get selected, it gives more people like opportunities and more money to be made. You know what I mean? Like I don't think a player is going to say no to being like a third player on a on a park on a roster in the fall. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But that's just an idea that like kind of like me and a couple of the people have talked about that would be a good idea. And then have
I agree. I agree for sure. I just think the first step to overall growth is just getting the league build on retail.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Because at that point it's like there's no need to make a my player because sometimes you load up and the guy's got a glitch 6'9" and you don't. Now you're at a disadvantage because he's got a better build than you. Whereas like if there's a actual full on 5v5 and even a 3v3 like league build on retail, so it's like think about like even for like money games or like wagers or even like a site like Players Lounge. Now people are going to be sending challenges on those type of things. Like, yeah, let's play 3v3 on the league build. It's even. You can't glitch me. Or let's play 5v5 on league build. I don't got to worry about you having a better build than me. It's an even playing field. Then it's just about who's better, who's smarter, who's got higher IQ, who's more skilled. Mm-hmm. That'll help the draft process a lot. Guys are playing on glitch builds like Hall of Fame interceptor all the way through, and then they get to the league and can't steal a pass. Like little things like that. So it's like I feel like that'll just be the start of taking the league in the right direction, is getting a 3v3 and a 5v5 on retail.
Now let me ask you this question, because now I'm thinking in the 2K mindset, because we all know how 2K thinks. They want to make money, right? How can you twist league build to make the 2K money? That's how I look at it.
It's a maybe a DLC or an add-on for an additional $20 or something.
Or maybe or I think it's honestly if you purchase the season pass or like I think they need to, if they do like the Fortnite route where like if you buy the season pass you get this game mode unlocked.
Yeah, but that's why 2K is at a bad state right now. Is it's too cosmetic. They put the season pass in now, and it was all like they're worried about skeletons and go karts and shit, and the game's bad.
Yeah.
So it's like right now, I think just give it an incentive. Like, yo, you want to play with the pros play, an extra $20 or whatever. You don't want to pay 60, you pay 80. You get access to what the pros play on, and you can get a head start on trying to qualify for the 2K League Combine or whatever, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I just think that unfortunately we do have to think in that mindset of how does 2K benefit from this and how do they make money. That's kind of like how, I mean, it's a business at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like they gotta make their money somewhere. So like
Right.
I think if there is like something, again, if it's again, one, I think it's really good if it's promoted on like a league pass thing. Like if you get it, like let's say you buy the season pass, like for, and like you'll have it for like let's say you pay five, like in Fortnite you pay like $5 or $10 for like a season. One, it promotes it on there because everyone's seeing it because it's like one of the first things you unlock, and it helps with promotion on that sense. But also, like, it's just, I think that that's a good way for 2K to make money off of it too, and that's just how I look at it, at least. But Versa, what is your thoughts on 3v3?
I feel like it's not a bad idea. The innovation is always great as far as expanding and bringing in different audiences and bringing in different fan bases, which is essential in growing any type of organization or business. I just feel like it could be implemented in a better way because right now it's kind of like a trade off. Because when 3v3 stops, nobody's going to expect Badge Plug or C4 Twins or like any of these YouTubers or content creators fan bases to tune into 5v5. You know what I'm saying? Some may, most won't. Let's just be realistic with that. So the trade off doesn't really benefit neither or. So I just feel like the format could be implemented differently rather than kind of in a sense we're using 3v3 it's kind of like a regular season. And I get the point system, kind of like sprinkles into regular for 5v5, but the fact that 3v3 can alter 5v5 results,
It doesn't.
It doesn't make sense. You get what I'm saying?
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yes. So
No,
flat out, it's just
no.
they just have to.
Versa.
Huh?
It does, like 3v3 does not affect 5v5 points.
Okay.
They're separate playoffs. So there's a 3v3 playoffs and a 5v5 playoffs.
So, okay. Understood.
It's all good. It's all good. I just wanted to clarify that.
Okay, so it was just a bit confusing. So like just looking at the point system, like I thought it was all collected together. Okay. So even with that, even without that, like just I don't see the point in kind of having that as like a fill in for regular season, if that makes sense. So like, again, the trade offs don't benefit each other because, and I'm just being honest, you will have some that are more keyed into 5v5 to watch 3v3, but you're not really gonna get like much output from that. But outside of that, if it is true with the rumors about league build being implemented into retail, I agree with Larry. They definitely should just come out with a DLC for people that want to pursue being a professional on the 3v3 or the 5v5 base. And then, that is quote unquote their way to make money off of it, even though like they make a mass amount of money from my player builders to my team. And I get that because at the end of the day, if people want to play the casual modes, they will make my players to play rank or just be able to do crazy stuff and create their content and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's about appeasing to the both audiences and finding that median. I feel like going forward, 3v3 could still be involved with the league. It just has to be not where it interferes with 5v5. Because if you look on Twitter, and I understand like 5v5 is only one realm or one aspect of our community, especially with the 2K League, even though it's the main aspect for the 2K League. A lot of people are just asking, like, even with this stuff going on, it's like, when does 5v5 come back? When does 5v5 start again? So, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you can't, in a way, and I'm not saying that it is, you can't depreciate the main product.
Hey, appreciate you
by trying to expand.
For that rating.
Because you can expand
Thank you so much.
without depreciating the main product. It just has to be implemented correctly. But to piggyback off what Larry said and JT said again, just the fact that they are taking the steps to maybe put it into retail, it helps greatly for the fact that And you know how I feel about this shit. People can evaluate talent better. People have less distractions. There's structure. There's no double power forwards. There's no like weird lineups. There's no like it's not as many training wheels to like save people or people to get quote unquote baited. So if that is implemented, there's no excuses for people to management or coaches to say, "Oh yeah, well I got baited. Oh well, this person looked like they'll be." There's no excuse there. This is what we've all been asking for. This is what we should have had for a long time, and I understand like how contractual agreements work or trying to get certain stuff done overall. I mean, it takes time, but if it does happen, that's a big step forward. And it's all about how we market it, not only market it, but structure it together so that way they can feed off of each other rather than take away from each other.
Yeah, no, I definitely think you all bring up great points on this. I do want to say this about JV3. So I think it was something, I don't know if Harris said it, and it's a good point, and it's something I thought of right away. So JV3 obviously opens the door for orgs to decide, you know what, I'm going to draft players based off of 3v3 and not just 5v5. Obviously, this past week, and we kind of saw it with the player of the week, we saw two players that actually ended up on the voting for player of the week. Now, I don't know, I know who I voted for, but again, my vote obviously with media is a little different compared to like the other one, but like I will say this is the first time we've ever seen amateur level players be on the nomination for player of the week. I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on the two people who obviously were like, there's multiple people who I think played well on the amateur side, but giving a shout out to Greens and no light shooter. I always say his name. I don't know why I say his name wrong.
No, not elite, not elite, not elite.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, not elite. But before you do that, I want to kind of touch base on what Versus said because I wanted to talk after Larry was talking, but I forgot Versus didn't go. So that I do agree with what Versus said. I feel like the biggest challenge now is they need to find how to mesh the two. Like he said, you can expand without depreciating your base, what got you there. So it's like 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. That's a little too long. Like it needs to be a way to mesh the two. But that's where I feel like this has to be the last season where it's 5 players on the roster. Because in a sense, you can break this down into just 2 separate entities, but like in the same org. So like, let's say you now just move Finn to strictly 3v3, but then draft a point guard for 5v5. Because most of the 5v5 players, not all, most don't care about the 3v3. So like, why make them play it? Why not as a league just expand, give it more spots? That is a bigger community with strictly players that only play 3v3, that don't touch 5v5, and that goes vice versa. It's 5v5 players who don't touch 3v3. So in a sense, I feel like the league should kind of look towards going up to 6, 7, and possibly 8. So in a sense, it could just be 2 different modes with 2 different teams that strictly focus on that side. So you're not practicing and having this small turnaround like they're doing now. 3 weeks of 5v5, and then after I fly back from Indy, because after orientation, I got 2 days of practice a mode for $150,000. That's not really the best to do from a competitive standpoint when it's for that much money. So in a sense, like I do like the fact that it's here, but like Versa said, they need to find a better way to mix the two to where it can make both consumers happy. Some kind of way, somehow. I don't know how. I'm just saying it had like 3 weeks off, on and off is too much, especially when the turnaround is always a couple days. Because after these 3 days, what does it go back to? After Indy, a couple days, 5v5, remote play again. Like it'll be the same thing. It's 2-3 days turnaround to just go play a whole nother mode that you haven't touched in weeks. And we're not used to not touching 2K for weeks. You would know that. If you play pre-draft, if you go weeks without playing pre-draft, either something's happening in your real life that really kept you from it, or you just don't care to play the game like that. because that's not really how it goes. But that's it. You go on to the next point.
No, I think that is a very good point. The league's always been very like transparent, and I think they always try to adjust to things, and that's something I think that will come in time. I will say that's why I think that if they're going, I think that it would be a good idea just to like have that off season set up, and then and then that way, if you want to, like you could have a separate like contract or a draft for 3v3, like for the other 6 months. Like you could have 6 months of 3v3 and then 6 months of 5v5. So then the league's a year round thing. You have an option to play both, or you could just play one. But I will say, coming back to the point, talking about amateur players basically performing in 3v3 on the league level and playing very well. Like you look at Greens and not elite shooter. I shredded his name before, but looking at both these players, I mean, again, they're not the only ones that performed as amateur players, but they're in the conversation for Player of the Week, and we might see Greens win Player of the Week and be the first amateur level player to win a league Player of the Week. If this doesn't already solidify this guy as being like the number one pick next year, I mean, I don't know what does. Like at this point, I don't know what wouldn't, besides him just saying he can't be in the pool, he can't be in the league, whatever. But like, this guy is performing well. Again, all the guys on handles, they're undefeated. I'm pretty sure handles like that's Miami, Kaz the lock, and like I said, not elite shooter.
Kazi.
Okay. I will say this about this. Like a lot of these teams, a lot of these players right now that are performing, they are the future of the new pool of players to get into the league. And I kind of want to get your guys' thoughts on that. Like, do you guys think more orgs are going to start going in the direction of 3v3? Because I feel like it's very clear that some teams have just been running 5v5 for a couple of years, and some teams need to find something that's theirs. And I feel like the first team to kind of find that ultimate roster for 3v3 can kind of run away with it and kind of keep their footing in 3v3. But I kind of want to get your thoughts. I'm going to start with JT on this, and then we'll work our way down. JT, with 3v3, what is your thoughts on the impact of it for future prospects of the league? And just basically how fast do you think orgs are going to react fast to trying to getting more 3v3 talent versus 5v5? How do you think that teams are going to go about this, coming into future seasons?
I feel like even though it matters, I feel like teams will only be interested in the 3v3 if they have shown they can play 5v5. Not necessarily shown they're the greatest at it, but they've shown they can play it, they're good at it, they can work at it, things of those sorts. Because while 3v3 matters, it's still less money than the 5v5. And it's still not really as decorated as succeeding because it's 1 year in. So it's to win a ring in 3v3, but not 5v5, a ring in 5v5 holds more value as of right now and probably always will. So to an extent, you can go the 3v3 route, but it's you also, unless they expand the roster, if it stays where it's at, you would rather a 5v5 guard that's really good kind of pick up 3v3 since they already have everything but probably the boobs, if anything, than the 3v3 trying to bring him over, him or her, trying to bring them over in a sense to where it's he's legit at threes. You bring him over here. Now he's throwing a bunch of Steves. Now he's just doing a bunch of nonsense, looking just trash. And now you picked a player for the lesser mode, and for the bigger mode, your team's checked because they maybe win in one mode to having no chance at winning at all, and the other because it is a big jump. Stage kids are really good. They have the stick. It's just the IQ, and that's what Pro-Am comes down to. Stick skill in Pro-Am is not the biggest skill gap. It's the IQ. It's the small thing. It's the intangibles. It's the gutless instincts that you do without thinking. So in a sense, I see them steering towards it and kind of paying more attention, but they'll still force guards like Fencer. People forced him to play 5v5. He was quote unquote snubbed last year. So what did he do? He played more 5v5. Like they're gonna force those guards to do that because if you want to take the route of joining our league, you have to show me that you're open to being good at both and not just being selfish and sticking to what you're good at.
So, kind of a second question to that, JT. You got a guy like Greens, right? You know, he's looking like the most appealing player for number one overall next year. Regarding whatever the team would need, obviously. But like, let me ask you, you're a G. Let's say you and JT is a GM in this league, and he's having a bad season, but he might not have the number one pick. Are you selling the house to get a player like Greens because he's good at both 3v3 and 5v5? Or are you just like gonna like just try to find someone else and like play your cards right? Or is he worth it? Is what I'm really asking. Is he worth like selling the house to get the number one pick so you can get him?
I feel like the house is what's tricky because it depends what my house is. In this league, you got condos, you got apartments, and you got trap houses with boarded up windows. So it's it's like
no, stop.
like that, and that's the way it is. You got sky rises and condos, apartments, townhouses, and you got them trap houses with the fiends in it. And it's like, so if I'm letting go of a couple fiends or people on their last leg, one more needle and that's it, yeah, cool. But if I gotta give up 2-3 pieces, 2-3 vet pieces that have already proven themselves, that do their job, like what can I have to say no. But if I can give up solid pieces, not too crazy, not too bad, both ways, not too good, not too bad. Like that's just contingent. Like Greens is worth it. He should be the number one pick next year.
Can I ask wait, can I give you a scenario?
Go ahead.
You're the Wizards. Yeah. You're the Wizards DG GM. You know that you're gonna have to blow it up because like basically Dave Fry wants out. Basically the franchise has to blow up. Would you blow it up to fight for one to go get Greens?
Yeah, because at that point it could be done like this. Dave Fry wants to go back to Dallas. That's where he's from. Trade Dave Fry for second to pick, and then probably trade one of the other pieces for a pick.
And then if the one.
And that's it. Yeah, like that way, because that's different too. Because now as people want out, is people want to do different things. In a sense, like that's kind of easier. But when you come to blowing up, when I think blowing up, it's like people don't even know it's coming. Like I don't know if Duck knew it was coming, but I know when I got traded without Ramo and Ruben, I didn't know it was coming. I just knew I was unretained. I knew they wasn't bringing me back. I knew I had a horrible season. But the morning of the trade, who calls me? The Wizards coach. But so without Ramo and Ruben, before that morning, I wouldn't have known a damn thing. I would have just woke up, looked at my phone, been like, huh? So it's like blowing up the house unexpectedly for Greens. It depends on the talent, but he's worth it to me as long as it's not too much to where you're just picking him up and having a trash team around him. Because everybody needs a team. I don't care about the talent. He can be the best player in the damn world. You don't have a team around you, you won't win it all.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. Versa, I just want to get your thoughts on the impact of 3v3 and the future talent of the league. Kind of like the final thing we'll touch on, and then we'll kind of get ready to close this up.
I feel like JT said, you can only evaluate talent to a certain extent on 3v3. Yeah, you're gonna. And it's more so like for guards and lockdowns, you can see like the differential in stick skill, but do they understand IQ? Do they understand like certain gaps? Do they understand certain rotations? Do they understand certain reads? Do they understand motion? Do they like those are all aspects that they may not understand. You do have those players that are going to the league and currently in the league that came from that type of stage game. But they were able to translate. Everybody's not able to translate. We all knew Kai, a crazy stage player. We all knew, like, we didn't know, how can I put this? The masses didn't know Kai would translate, but on Xbox, we saw him slowly translating into beyond just stage. So, like, it's just a matter of what you're going to do with it. And I think JT made a great point with understanding, like, and I understand, like, you have a budget, or the league or the org may have a budget, but you should definitively have a 3v3 team and a 5v5 team, even if it's a way to where, like, you kind of, like, and I don't know if it's possible with contracts and stuff like that, but let's say, like, 3v3 is like the amateur league, a step down from 5v5, and you just reach into the community and you build your own 3v3 team. Now you have something to build off of, because those prospects may be wanting to be prospects in the league, and they could learn in certain aspects how to be a dominant 5v5 player. And if you're lucky to have a guard or lockdown that is capable of doing both, then great. You get what I'm saying? But that should be like, and in all actuality, it will be a rarity. You're not going to find a lot of guards that are capable of just maintaining 3v3 and being able to maintain, and pro-am. And you're not going to be able to find a lot of lockdowns that are able to maintain 3v3 and maintain 5v5. So I feel like that structure is best, rather than having, especially with 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. I don't see that being, that's not productive for each organization, and I feel like that's kind of why. And I'm not trying to jump the gun here, but it just seems like, because of how the season is going, you can have teams that prioritize 3v3 over 5v5, because not only do they may not have no choice, but they don't have the talent that it takes to, fight with these heavy hitter teams on the 5v5 aspect of the game. So it could grow the league, but how will you use it in the league? And will it ultimately grow the league, or will it ultimately grow individual franchises? Because if it's only growing individual franchises, then you go into a whole another system. Are they marketing those franchises enough? Are they marketing those players enough? Are they marketing those, like how they do on 3v3 or 5v5 enough? Are they marketing their fan base enough? Are they interacting with different fan bases enough? Are they getting out there enough? You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of variables that fall into that, and if they're not going to be hitting on all those variables, it's best to just, again, prioritize those different entities and make sure that they're feeding off of each other rather than depreciating each other.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And there's a lot of things that have to fall into place for a lot of, like, again, if they add like league build to the game, it makes it so much easier for scouts, right? It's going to make them easier to scout. Because 3v3 is already pretty hard to scout on the amateur level. So, like, again, like, these guys can go and they can perform right now. But, like, it's kind of like post-draft, right? You do, like, what everyone's doing in post-draft, again, it helps build a name, like that, but it doesn't get you drafted. Like, post-draft alone does not get you drafted. You have to play in pre-draft to get drafted. And the problem with, like, pre-draft 3v3 for a lot of these prospects, it's already a game mode that's not respected, I guess you would say, on a competitive level. And also, like, all the cheesy stuff that there is for 3v3 compared to 5v5. I'm not saying 5v5 doesn't have cheesy stuff, but, like, 3v3 has, like, next level stuff. Like, it's wild. Like, but regardless, I think that if league build is, like, again, I hear after that whole Brendan Donahue interview where he kind of inched about getting the league build in the game next year. If that happens, that's huge for the league. That's huge. And the thing is, like JT said, I would rather have that happen now than when the league's on its, like, last limb, and, like, oh, what if we did this sooner, I hope it is on it next year, because then that way it will change everything for this community. One, players who are in the league can't have an excuse for why they're not, like, practicing in the off season. Because the old excuse used to be, the league build's different, so there's no point. And then some people are like, listen, I get it. People got stuff going on, man. People, like, you're not getting paid in the off season, but it's just like
It adds an incentive. I don't mean it. I just want to interject. It adds an incentive because if everybody, and we all know it. Like Crown brought up a big point with as far as how the contract is structured, and it's as big as small as it may seem, because we understand that most of the league is on the younger side, but for like people that are in pursuit of like getting their
House.
first.
Yep. Rim brought that up. That was Rim.
Yeah. So so and for people in their runs of trying to get their first home and stuff like that, they just can't because of they don't have the longevity with their occupation. You know what I'm saying? So even if it may not match the exact contract of the six month span, but the incentive, if they could find a way to tie those contracts together, then it's more feasible. Like it's more reasonable for it to happen that way. And then gives people a reason to grind in the off season. I mean, just as I know you said it, I've said it. I mean, if you're in the 2K league and you want to win more money, I mean that should be reason enough to grind in the off season. But we all have different responsibilities and priorities in life, and I get that. But we do know that like it is a lot of people that just solely don't grind the league because they don't want to. I mean, or grind retail because they don't want to. And I understand because playing against crazy modified and glitched out bills. I mean, when you're not going to be anticipating that in the league, it's not really helping you as a player. But you still have to familiarize yourself with the game, and that just attests to how more important it is to get this league built in the game more sooner than later because it's not going to be. It's just not going to be as appeasing if we get it late. And it's like, well, you should have been to this. Like nobody's excited about this anymore. But they get it in there now. I feel like this is a cool time to get it in there as it is because everybody's playing for something. The prize pool goes up each year. People are trying to get back into the league. You have a large amount of people that are trying to get back into the league. So like everybody wants to play at the most skill based level possible. And if you can do that to where nobody's running around with 6'10" lockdowns and double power forwards and everybody can swing and everybody has Hall of Fame interceptor and you don't got to press X or square to steal the ball. You can just hold LT. Like that changes the aspect of how you approach your draft as a manager. That changes the aspect of players of how they're going to approach their game. It makes people have to work 10 times harder and it makes the process way more organic and way more honest rather than just going off he say, she say and watching box scores and just not understanding like the true transparency of the game. And that's where I feel like there's a lot of friction. So it goes hand in hand. If they could find a way to execute all these different aspects and gel them all together, which I don't have the direct answer for at this moment, I definitely feel like that will, put us in the right direction. Again, those small things just have to be implemented first, and it starts with this league build.
No, I definitely agree. I think it's going to take steps. It's going to take time. It's going to take communication, money. Because again, league build being put in the game is not something that's just like going to be simple, and we all know that it's a lot of legal stuff too, and that players agreement getting signed. It's gonna be a lot. But anyway, I think this is a good place to kind of like stop because we've obviously been going for a bit. Is there any final things you guys want to say or comment about? Obviously, we've had some good topics tonight. Talked about a couple good things. Any questions from the chat? If you guys want to put anything in there, if you guys have any questions. Any final comments from you, Versa?
No, I think that we did pretty well. Covered a lot of different things that were important. What I will say is, like I said, I feel like the 3 points of emphasis that we have to look at now is just finding a way to make 3v3 and 5v5 mesh well together. Adding some type of incentive or being able to build a year-round contract if we are able to get a league built in retail. And I think thirdly, everything else will fall into place after those 2 things are accomplished. Because, that kind of satisfies everybody's needs and satisfies the direction that people want to head within the league, whether it's as a player or a part of administration or running the org as a head coach, analyst, or assistant. I feel like that answers everybody's questions.
Yeah, definitely. JT, any final comments?
Yeah, my final comment would be, let's see how Indy goes. Like I feel like how that environment is, how that goes. I feel like that'll play a factor, and I'll see it firsthand. I am working that week. I will be in Indy as a commentator. So like yeah, I just want to see how it goes. Like I don't necessarily have it like being exactly as lit as 5v5, but I feel like these dudes might surprise us. Like these 3v3 dudes that are community teams, as we should call them now. They're content creators. Like they have personality. They aren't just quiet dudes. So like to hear them bark at league players, like that should be this like refreshing thing. Like it's something I want to see. I want to see if they are like that in real life. If they do bark and when it's for the 150K, like if you're a 5v5 team, not serious in Indy for 150K, then you just gotta kind of get your priorities straight. So yeah, my closing comments is just like let's keep giving it time. It's the first thing, you know, the league has a lot of stuff to work on in general. And season one, it was the same thing. We're growing every year on both ends. So in this end, just like give it time, give it fair time. Don't just judge it very quickly. Like season one had no mishaps when there was God knows how many. So that's it. Just like give 3v3 time. Not saying that just because I commentated, because like I said, 5v5 is better than me. It always will be. But just give it time before you like make all these crazy, irrational statements.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I definitely excited to see what happens in Indy. Maybe I'll be there. Who knows? Maybe we'll see. I'll see. I'll see what's happening for me. I might. But anyway, it's a good spot to end it. I appreciate JT, Versa, of course, Larry, all of you guys coming on. This has been episode 4 of 2K Crossfire. Thank you for watching, everybody.